officially starting this year's edition, 2019 edition of the Lagos Digital Summit. Hello? Okay, can you all hear me? You can't hear me.
Yeah, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
Can you hear me?
Clap along if
Can you hear me?
like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy.
Can you hear me?
If you know what happiness is, you.
DJ, help my ministry now.
If you feel like that's what you want to do.
Hello?
Yeah.
Is it better now? Okay. I think can you hear me? Okay, I thought you were going to say no. I wanted to say, how did you know I said, can you hear me? Anyway, welcome. Good morning, everybody. We're officially apologizing for starting late. We wanted to make sure that, everything was up and ready just the way you would want to have it. We wanted to make sure that today will definitely be worth your while. So now we are starting. A round of applause for LDS, please. Thank you very much. So for those that are at the back, I'm still looking at artworks or getting drinks or the health check that is going on, please make your way back to your seats because we are officially, getting the show on the road. My name is Pelumi. My name is Pelumi Shitu, and I will be the official host for today's event. So I'm promising you an amazing time. I'm promising you an enlightening time. I'm promising you a time where you would learn so much than you've learned in this whole 2019 together. Do you believe me? Okay, I will shock you. If what I've said now, right, if I don't prove you right or prove you wrong, rather, come and collect money. See, people, Nigerians like money. You cannot say, no, give me ideas, give me wisdom. You say, no, I should give you money. Come and collect it now. I'll give you my BVN too. Anyway, so we're about to officially start. This is LDS, Lagos Digital Summit 2019. And this year's theme is leveraging on digital storytelling. Yes. So it is leveraging digital innovation and storytelling, leveraging digital innovation and storytelling. We know how this world is constantly evolving. I mean, you download an app today, in 2 days, there's already an update, and you're wondering, what are you updating exactly? There's already an upgrade. That's to show you how fast-paced this digital world is, and we need to keep up. We need to harness it. We need to make sure that we're completely utilizing everything that is at our disposal to make our personal lives, our businesses, our community, society a better place. Who agrees with me? Who agrees with me? I want to know those that are paying attention. Who agrees with me? Okay, so I want to do a roll call real quick. So if you're in the media or entertainment space, say I. Okay, so if you're an entrepreneur, say I. If you're into technology, so you're maybe an app developer, everything tech, say I. Ooh, it's like the tech people are more, right? Which other person, which other group of people do I need to call or do I need to notice? Sorry? Eh? Somebody said Big Brother Naija people. Who else? I think I've got it covered. Media. Business, that's entrepreneurship, tech, which other one? Or if you're just a slay king and slay mama, say I. Oh shit, my people, alpha. Okay, so quickly to start, we will have the welcome address by Demola Adetona. A round of applause for him, please.
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, delegates. Good morning to everybody that traveled down all the way from Abuja. all the way from Abeokuta, Oshogbo, Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Warri. Good morning also to our senior colleagues in the house. Thank you for coming to listening. So very quickly, I don't have to bore you. Welcome to 2019 Lagos Digital Summit. Good morning to Lagos Digital Summit 2019. You guys are welcome. Thank you very much for coming on time. Apologies for starting late. LDS is organized by Mustadels Media in collaboration with Expose Nigeria. And if you are looking to give your brand an online presence, we're not just result-driven. We will also be a partner in your business. So LDS is free, and then we have to also advertise ourselves, the organizer. So we're a digital marketing agency. You can look us up online, Mustadels Media, Expose Nigeria. If you need that result-driven growth, we're here to assist. So far, so good. There's been growth with the team. Just as we always ensure growth in our delegates, businesses, and careers. LDS started with a small dream in 2017. We wanted 200 guests. We had 520 plus. In 2018, we prepared for 700 plus. We had 1,400 plus. 2019 is here. We have over 2,000 registrants, and we're still expecting them to fill in. We've had over 40 collaborations from 2017 till date, from our sponsors to our media team to the influencers. Thank you very much. For the second time running, our live stream team, on my left, on your right, the Rave Me, they are here with us as usual. I'm also happy to announce to you that you'll be seeing some of our past speakers. They are coming back to learn, to network, and take selfies with you, and then further discuss the digital conversation. From Digital for All, our first team for the first edition, to Digital and the Future of Business, that's our second team, and now to Leveraging Digital Innovation and Storytelling. Just recently, we got featured alongside Social Media Week on an international calendar for the best digital events in Africa. Gradually, we are moving from Lagos to the world. We have either directly or indirectly influenced a lot of digital summits nationwide, with the birth of Warri Digital Summit, Ibadan Digital Summit, CU Digital Summit, and more to come this year. Today, we'll be discussing how digital business innovation and the application of digital technology to improve operational efficiency, to drive customer engagement, and develop innovative products and services through storytelling. Prepare your notes. Pay attention to the speakers. Trust me, they've been carefully selected. Don't be expecting them to say, we started from 10K yesterday. Today, we are a $10 billion company. They are going to give you practical insights on how to go about it. Follow us on Twitter, Lagos DGT Summit, and Instagram, Lagos Digital Summit, Facebook, at Lagos Digital Summit. Don't forget to use our hashtag. We love you when you tweet. Hashtag Lagos Digital Summit. Don't also forget to safeguard your belongings when you stand up to get refreshed. Without further ado, we declare 2019 Lagos Digital Summit officially open. May the speakers get utterance. May the delegates get entrance. My name is Demola Adetono. Thank you.
A round of applause for him. Thank you. Wow. Ooh, okay. So now, that was a very, very lovely welcome address, by the way. So he said we should not expect picture. How do they say that again? Picture the future or what? We're not doing that. Aspire to inspire, to perspire, to expire. No, we're not doing that today. We're giving you practical examples that would help you and, change your business, your life, the way you use digital media. Okay, now it's the time to separate the old people from the young people. we're going to sing the national anthem. Because we're Nigerians and we have to be patriotic, of course. I mean, wherever you go, if you do anything today, if you travel abroad and you do anything today, what will they say? They'll say Nigerian man, dash, dash, dash. Whatever you do, they'll say Nigerian man. So at the end of the day, that is your tag. So you have to be patriotic to it. So to lead us in singing the national anthem is someone that, oh my Jesus, you're going to love the national anthem after she's done. You will be happy that, yes, I'm a Nigerian. Her name is Oluwashalom. Even the name sounds very, Oluwashalom, very heavenly. And she's coming with her angelic voice to lead us in the national anthem. A round of applause for her, please. And please rise, please rise. We are not singing it while sitting. Thank you.
Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. O God of creation, direct our noble course, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow and live in just and truth. Great love to heart attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. God bless Nigeria.
Offering time. Offering time. Because what else is remaining? See the way she sang the national anthem as if, in fact, please, who's going to collect the offering and the tithe, I beg? Because I think that's the only thing that is remaining. Wow. Wow, I did not know that our national anthem could be sung like that. No. Even some people during the national, they had forgotten they were singing the national anthem. And you're meant to stand straight. They were saying, tell them. I think I even heard, hallelujah, somebody. Now, wow. Thank you very much, Oluwashalom. That was heavenly. That was angelic. Even though some people, they wanted to use their baritone to spoil your what's the tenor? It's very monosyllabic. As in, kilo day. And some people, if you know you were chopping mouth, in the second stanza, raise up your hand. Don't be shy. Don't be ashamed. We are here. We love each other. Okay. Team Chop Mouth Gang. TCG. Okay. So, just a little housekeeping. So, we hope you take pictures, or we want you to take pictures here. So please, the pictures you take, videos, of how the summit is going, so that the people outside will know what they are missing. So please just take pictures, record videos, tweet about this event, and please make sure you use the hashtag Lagos Digital Summit on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Please help us. Let us trend small, Let us be number one. We can do it because we are very technical people. So please make sure you tweet, post on Instagram with the hashtag Lagos Digital Summit. Also, during the break time, which will be announced during the course of the event, you can always get your food at a very affordable, very, very affordable price. And of course, we have Malta Guinness, to drink and quench your thirst. And then also we have Avon Health Care. So, you could always go there to check your blood pressure, just in case they say something. I know when you're like, so just go and check it in case your BP has escalated with the because trust me, there are a lot of things that will be said here today that will just ginger you, and also, yes, the conveniences. So we don't want you to, distract other people, or, feel uncomfortable and hold your excreta, if I would say that. So please, the conveniences are at the back to your right. So I've told you now, so you can check it out. You can just use style to turn back to look at where the conveniences are, so that, if you want to relieve yourself, you can always do that with ease. So what else? Okay, yeah, so just enjoy the show, enjoy the event, and of course our facilitators are already here. I can see Taoma, I can see Toby, I can see Sega Link, I can see a lot of people here. So just get ready to enjoy yourself. And to give us the keynote address, I will be calling on Shegun Awosonya, aka Sega. And of course at the end, yes, a round of applause for him, please. And of course, at the end of the session, because we've got you covered, at the end of the session, make sure you ask all the questions you want to ask. It's not just a listen and go, it's a listen and also ask and, get answers to your question. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Please put your hands together for yourself. We're seeing the survivors of Lagos traffic here today. The rest of them are still struggling out there on their ordeal. I came into Lagos yesterday night, and I was greeted by the warmth of Lagos, by the heat of Lagos, and also by the traffic of Lagos. Agege Motor Road was completely blocked. I had 2 drivers that I sent for that did not get out of that traffic until this morning. And the other one that happened to find his way to pick me up, we almost didn't get home also yesterday. And the next thing I saw after shutting my eyes for like 5 minutes, I received another call from another driver telling me it's time to join the witches and the warlocks to set out on time to be able to meet our appointment for today. It was around 4 o'clock. And we spent, in fact, about 4 or 5 hours in traffic again. Because in the wisdom of the contractors working on all the roads of Lagos at the same time, they chose to do that during working hours early in the morning. And it was also an auspicious time for LASMAs, for all the uniform men to run crazy at the same time. And then, of course, as complemented by the bad behaviors of drivers in Lagos who believes that any free road is a road. You understand? Yeah. Storytelling, digital innovation, storytelling. Life in itself has changed from what you have been told. You know what, those days when you were told to go to school, there are various songs that they have put inside your system that when you grow up, that your shoes will sound a certain way when you read your books, right? How many of you understand that? Yeah. Your shoe will sound a certain way once you read your books. But, of course, Yahoo Boys' shoes sounds better even without reading their books. So that myth that bubble has been busted. And as well as a lot of other myths. Storytelling. The global connection economy rewards only excellence. there were times when you have to, at a period in our lives, in the war called life, there was a time when you have to beg people to showcase your content. Go to NTA, Dobale, Rababa, roll on the floor, pay tithes, see Oga that knows Oga that knows Oga before your stuff can be shown. I'm sure you've seen most of those videos where men and women dance near flowers as gospel songs and gospel music videos that they have paid through, their influence and their money and all just to get aired. But these days, you can pick up YouTube and do your art. If it's excellent, you will get the views and you also get the invite. And before you know it, you become a star without actually going through, the normative, walking through the motions of getting to know people or getting established and all, which begins to also demystify the thought that your certificates, those cardboards that you've gotten from spending 5 years of imprisonment in some institutions where you have been coerced to believe that you are taking or you're having an education, while in the actual fact, you are actually running through the motions of an assembly line literacy program. But we're talking about storytelling. When I was growing up at the age of 9 years old, there was this guy named Sir Herbert Ogunde. Sir Herbert Ogunde was a specialist or doctor, a mogul of theater arts. His tool was theater. And most of the time it used to, before he went into the Polaroid and cameras and it used to be stage. I remember then in Glover Hall, I'm sure, how many of you know where Glover Hall is? Glover Hall, please. It's in Lagos here. Glover Hall. Oh, you don't go out. You don't look. How many of you look away from your phones? You need to go out. You need to leave. You need to come out of the bubble and leave a little bit. You need to experience. You need to meet people. You need to, visit. You know where Muson Center is? I'm sure you do. So you should be able to know Glover Hall. It's not too far away from Muson Center. So we went to Glover Hall. I was a young boy, and they brought us in. And we were watching this wonderful theater production by Herbert Ogunde. And, of course, let me tell you a little bit about Sir Herbert Ogunde. His movies don't have film tricks. Whatever you see is actually happening in real life. When people turn into cats on stage, they are actually turned into cats. Sometimes they don't get to reverse the reaction. So we were watching this movie called Aye Jai Simi or something like that. I think it's around that title, Jai Simi or so. So it was wonderful. Of course, he comes with his own music and all and all and all. And then there was this tremor. I thought I was shaking, but I realized that everybody was feeling it too. And so there was an earthquake right there at the scene. So Sir Herbert Ogunde had to quickly run home to perform some rituals before the tremors could cease, because none of us could leave the hall. We were told that anybody who leaves the hall would die instantly. And of course, we've seen examples on the stage, of people who fell and did not rise up again. It wasn't part of the script, by the way. It was actually happening in real life. Then I grew up much later. I know we're impressionable. I just saw it as one of those entertainment stuff that maybe it didn't happen, maybe it happened. Then I grew up in school. There was the same Herbert Ogunde's troupe came around to perform a movie called Wambiliki Wambia. And the story was so well put together to the point where they were just talking about greed anyway. In short, just greed. It was about a man who was looking for a child, and they were waiting for so long, and they went to a man who said he could give them a child, and they made a porridge for him and asked to give to his wife. But because of greed, he ate the porridge and became pregnant on behalf of the wife. So that was just the summary of the story. Of course, the critical thinking skills of a child does not really query scientific models or the possibility or the veracity of such stories. So we just swallowed it up to say, wow, if you are greedy, you will soon be pregnant. So because of that, we were very cautious and we took to heart. But coming back to the 21st century, how exactly do you make sense when emotions are high? How exactly do you make sense when everybody is talking at the same time? The noisiest place to be on earth, in Nigeria, in the world today, is the social media space, where everybody is trying to say, notice me, I am here, view me, look at this, here are my lies, so and so. And thinking, just like it was in the days when we were highly impressionable, has not actually improved. It has actually gotten worse. Now we have subliterates as against illiteracy. Subliteracy is actually far worse than illiteracy. What am I saying? People who have half education, just like people who are half into the walk with God or in Christ, they become terrorists, they become fundamentalists, they become, they express their tyranny through their half education. So the same way you find people who are very noisy online saying all sorts. And here you are, a doctor of psychology, you have a PhD in theater arts, you paid your dues, you walked through the motions, you know your trade, but nobody's listening to you. In fact, nobody even wants to read your facts. People want something that is sensational. People want something that actually expresses something they can't find words for. There you are with all the facts, but nobody wants to read facts. People want balance. And that is because there is a reason why our brains has been divided into two sides, the emotional side and the logic side. You must find a balance. If I come here and I start telling you about lumbering in Equatorial Guinea, or expressing how you can navigate through this heteropatriarchal capitalistic system, or the misogynistic system, or the sexist system, or so and so, I'm sure I've lost a lot of you while I was doing that, because you'll be wondering my education was not actually complete. You'll be wondering probably I didn't go to the proper school. You'll be looking at your certificate all over again and feeling like you should burn them because you could not probably understand those terms. But what am I trying to say in essence? I'm trying to say that there are different things that are happening in the crime, and your creativity must be such that you tell compelling stories using the tools that you have, regardless of what that is. It could be story, it could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, it could be Facebook. But mind you must understand your terrain and your audience. When I'm on Facebook, for example, I am dealing with people that have known me for so many years. We went to school together, we're colleagues at work, they know me from church, my families, my in-laws, my mother-in-laws, and thereafter. Some of them who know you a certain way and don't hope for you to change forever. So when you bring about a new you that they find it difficult to relate with, your first obstacle has been established. Your enemies on Facebook are your families. You know, there are times when Facebook started, I put up a post, and then the next thing I get is a text message for a family meeting with me being the topic. Then you go to Instagram. People on Instagram don't want to read. I see people putting up novels, chapters by chapters, and sequel to their previous stories that was not even read. On Instagram, you are not going to get traction through that. You tell stories with videos, pictures, things that makes people want to come back. You can learn better from Barrister Mike, who you want to look through or follow his adventures. What is he going to do again? What other stupid thing is this guy going to do again? So it brings us to understanding storytelling. I don't want to bore you with academics. I prepared a slide, but the slides, they can be printed for you so that you can get the basics of what I'm saying in the literary concept and the logical aspect. I just want to tell you a story. I want to tell you something that you will never forget. I just give you an example of my experience when I was 9, and it is still living within me now. So if it were to be a course or so, how many of you even remember what you studied in school? Barrister Mike is popular for being on Instagram now. People, if he's not using the barrister thing, nobody will know you read law. And most of the time, as you're all seated here, I'm sure you don't even know what I read in school. Most of you know me as an advocate. Some even confuse me with a lawyer. Fine, I read law at some point, and I do some stuff in legal stuff, but that's not what I do. What I do is far different. It's another topic entirely. It's another book entirely. So how do we tell stories? First of all, the first thing in the success key, S, it must be short. If your story ends up having, on the second day, you have already lost your audience. It must be short. Have you ever seen a joke that ran for seasons before? It's just something. It's something that is, they call them anecdotes. They call them something that hits you They don't need to remind you where to, in those days when they do comedy, they put up a sign, applause. They don't need to tell you when to applause. It just hits you. They don't need to explain it. It just comes. So it must be short. Secondly, it must be unprecedented. Something that people do not expect. It must be concrete. Something that you can believe. You find that, look, if I look at the logic of this thing, it is believable. It is something that is credible. Something that you know that you can take to the bank. You can put together all laws of science, gravity, and all obeys it. Something that is empathetic. Something that I can finally put myself in. Anyone can put themselves in. You know how you watch guys watching football and they shout, goal, and they come out and say, we have won or we have lost. It shows something. They have put themselves in the position of that team. They have owned that team. They believe the success of the team is their success. You know how you watch horror movie and you're fighting yourself. You are hiding. You are afraid like the person in the movie. You have put yourself in. The story has gotten you. That is exactly how your narrative should be. When you write, you are expressing something that other people cannot express the way. And it must be a story. I'll tell you a short story. I travel a lot. And I put myself in a position of a guy who went for a conference in a strange land. It was a new land. So they said, okay, before the conference, just come outside and unwind with other people and all. So he went into a bar. And in this bar were beautiful girls with beautiful legs, and all. And so while he was having a sip at the bar, somebody brought in a new drink for him. And he was like, I didn't order any drink. He said, well, that beautiful lady over there ordered it for you. Oh, he said, And they said, and she would like to meet. Oh, I said, no problem. And the lady walked herself or waltzed to him. So they got there, they got talking. And that's all this guy could remember. By the time he woke up, he was lying in a bathtub filled with ice with a tube sticking out of his sides. And then he saw a number, a small note that says, dial 911. So he quickly dialed, the phone was already by his side. So he dialed 911. And then they said, oh, what's your emergency? He said, I woke up this morning after having a drink with a friend, a stranger, and all I found now is that I'm in a bathtub filled with ice with a tube sticking out of my side. And they said, oh, just lay still. The ambulance will soon be with you. Your kidney has just been harvested. Now, you can see yourself in that. Of course, most of you that look for adventure, those of you, there are two kinds of men. Those who love women and those who pretend not to. You understand? So, so that is where you can put yourself in that shoe. You know that your kidneys are not safe right now. You know that you can be that person. So you can feel how short that story is. You can feel how unprecedented that story is. You see how certain it is, how concrete it is, how credible it is, how empathetic you felt for that lady. The ladies in here felt for that guy like it's their brother. You felt that feeling, human compassion. It gets you. I don't need to convince you. I don't need to preach to you. I don't need to do anything extra to make you align with that story. That is precisely how your Twitter handle should feel. That is precisely how advocacy works. How you can get the attention of people who, in their homes, cannot agree on where to squeeze the toothpaste from. You know how many families the toothpaste has hot? People are divorcing because they cannot, the husband doesn't care when it's too squeezed, and the wife always leave the cup away from the toothpaste itself. So what am I trying to say? How are you connecting with your public? How are you maximizing the impact of the tools that you're using? Even when you're making announcements, how do you make announcements in such a way that people who read your announcement fall in love with the announcement to the point where when they are retelling the announcement, they don't lose any information? The story I've just told you, many of you will tell your friends, some of you use it to get a new extra girlfriend, side chick, and what have you. But when you're telling that story, you will not miss out any detail. But every other thing I have said with big grammar here, you will never remember. It is natural. Not because you are daft, but because that's how human beings are. What is fun? What is fluid? What is a story? Stick to us, and it gives us that opportunity to want to tell it to another. No matter how complicated it is, no matter what you're dealing with. And that's one thing that you need to imbibe. And that's one of the reasons why LDS is bringing this our way. I'll read this thing to you. I want to see your reaction. The National Association of Armed Robbers and Kidnappers Guild, NAARKG, N-A-A-R-K-G, grievously express their frustration on the unceremonious takeover of 97% of their stake in the socio-political space. They allege a malicious disenfranchisement, marginalization, and denigration, having been glaringly ostracized, and their jobs, come source of livelihood, assumed by the police community without an iota of empathy. This was made known at their clandestine national headquarters by their spokesperson, who prefer to remain anonymous for obvious reasons. They may be protesting this infringement and may seek refuge in the court of law by suing as it is within their rights. Now, if you read such a thing like this, does it surprise you? Is it not true that police have taken over from armed robbers? Is it not true? How many armed robbery cases have you even heard? Are they even common nowadays? It is about police case. So it is concrete. It is unprecedented that you see such a communique in newspapers or so. It is certain, it is credible, it is all. It makes the information travel faster. For those making laws and making policies, they will know quite well that from that information, even though it's satiric, they will know that the professionalism has gone out of the window, or has been defenestrated, as they say, with the police system. And also, they will also know that armed robbery cases have gone down while police brutality has risen. If it were to be communicated in another way, normal news, nobody would read it. Say, now today is the next thing you're going to hear from people. They won't even read the stuff. They will look at the headline. But if it is funny, if it is witty, if it is serious, if it sounds outlandish, people will read it. People will embrace it. And people will appreciate it. So today, what am I trying to say? The power is in your hands. The power of creativity, the power of storytelling. We all have our unique stories, starting from where you are, where you live. There are people here who have to kill with slippers to bathe in the morning in their houses. There are people who have to, do certain things, who still use roasters. I'm sure there are still 40-year-olds here who live with their mother. This is a story, and these are stories. These are things that you could write about. There was an interesting guy on Twitter who released a book that I for don't blow, but I too they press phone. You see, when you bring out things that is your grievous, worst troubles that people can actually yab you with, and you make it fun, you will see how people will embrace it. They will laugh with you. They will laugh at your calamity. And at the end of the day, they will bless you. Comedians do it all the time. They talk about themselves. And you pay. Always. Even if you have heard the joke before, you come and pay again. Because it does something to you. I hope and I believe that you will know today that people no longer buy into your competence. People are not buying your, I am an IT, UX, UI designer. No. What stories are behind your brand? What are you telling? What stories are you telling? Why you? People throw tantrums. Yes, we will not go greet today. We go fight government. Why? What is your why? Bring your why. What is your purpose? What have you been doing consistently from where you stand that people can vouch for you on? That is what matters. That's what people want to buy into. So people don't buy into anything else but your narrative, your stories. So bring your stories out. Use the tools and the things you learned today to weaponize the things that you have deep inside of you and tell your stories to the world. Thank you very much for listening.
Sorry, just before you go, does anyone have any question?
You have any questions?
Any question?
Questions.
Okay, we have one person. Yeah, please stand up so that.
Do you have the slides anyway? Okay. You can put it up and just in case there's, can just run it through and.
Okay. Whilst you were good morning. Whilst you were giving a talk, you highlighted some things, spelling the word success.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you stopped at E for empathic.
Empathy.
Yeah.
And the last one is story.
Yeah.
A short, unprecedented, credible, concrete, empathetic, and story. Yeah.
Okay. Any other question? Oh, okay.
The man wearing Instagram red, please. Can they?
All right, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Samuel.
Yes, sir.
Okay, majorly for the storytelling, I think it's major for comedians. They can, I don't know, but for someone that has a business, you have a cleaning and laundry service. How do you intend to tell a story through those stuff?
Okay.
Maybe I don't know if you can have any
Okay,
idea.
see, every business has a story because there's a reason why you're doing it. It is called brand differentiation. When you go to a Balogun market or any of these markets out there where you find people who sell the same thing in the same place, there is a way in which you will segregate what you are doing from what everybody else is doing. You know how many people do? People don't like wearing what everybody wears anyway. You know how it is now. We are proud Nigerians. Nigerians are very proud people. You see a beggar using iPhone, so there's no big deal about this thing. They beg, but yet they have class. You understand? So everybody have class. So when they are going to such market, they would rather go to somebody who knows his business, who says, out of all this shoe market, if you are looking for children's shoes, this is where you go to. Kelechi is the guy. So Kelechi, of course, we all have children. We are all connected to children. We have nephews, nieces, families, friends, side children, godchildren, unknown children, things like that. So you have all those, and you care about them. So you will go to Kelechi more than any other person. So you have differentiated your brand. That is your story. And when they call you, CNN, BBC calls you and says, tell me, why did you pick children's shoes of all shoes? Then you tell your story, how you grew up without shoes, how on Christmas Day you always envy your neighbor's shoes, how you grew up in a face me and slap you, where all the children there have shoes, and that's the first thing they brandish, and you will go barefooted to share food to your families and friends, and one day, nail chook you, tetanus came, they wanted to amputate, all these things, all those. Now, it's a story. You see an artist do like this, wham, 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 and then serious stories behind the brush strokes, and they're saying $10 million bidding price. It is not about how fine the art was. There was a famous artist who was going through a phase in his mentality or mental health, and he was drawing the picture of a cat. And at every stage of his illness, the picture of the cat started getting distorted. After a while, nobody could tell if it was a cat or not. But do you know that was the painting, the version of the painting that sold the most? Till today, it's one of the most expensive paintings in the world. So it is not about I am a star, I am a celebrity. It is about the stories that you're telling. Did you get me now? If you own a cleaning service, tell us how you got the idea to even go into that business in the first instance. Tell us why we must pick you of all cleaning services. The story should be short, it should be emotional. You understand? Somebody started something because she was raped while she was growing up and started a foundation. People will always tell her stories and say, yes, you spoke out for the people who are not able to speak out. You have already waged a war against silence. It goes there from there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Everything can be sold through a story. Apple, they're selling a story of leadership from where you are. They created an iPad. What does that mean? They created a platform through which everybody can find expression. Whether you're an artist, whether you're a musician, whether you're a writer, anything you want to do, you can be it on the iPad. That is a story. And the story is not coming from you, for you that owns a cleaning service. It is coming from the testimony of your customers who are satisfied based on the utility. This is not the right class. We should be paying for this now. All right. Next. The utility, satisfaction the consumer derived from using your product tells a story. For example, NSAS. How many of you have gone into traffic and you say, NSAS yes, NSAS yes? It's not there now. It was because of the testimony of people who realized that now police are robbing us. Where do we go to? Is it the same police? Who will help us? And then they found an organization, Social Intervention Advocacy Foundation. You don't even know the organization's name. All you know is called SEGA. So you call SEGA and you get whatever it is that you want. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. He answers you. You don't care. Some of you don't even come back to say thank you. You just put the picture out. Anytime you're driving, you're passing one way, you're just using the picture to escape justice because you know that it works. So it is about the stories that people tell that now makes that foundation have a name. It's nothing else. It is about the stories that people tell after seeing Jesus Christ. That, he healed the sick, he healed the blind, he did and da. So, I want to go and get my own miracle. And that's why most of you go to churches where they worship Coke bottle. Because of the testimony. He used to have 2 chickens. Now, he has a whole poultry. This man did it. Yeah, so. And you go there, go and deliver your tithe. Do you understand? It is about the stories. You know how many hours most churches dedicate to testimonies now? And miracles are not. You think it's for free? It's because of the stories. They are telling their own stories. So that when the stories go far and wide, people who want miracles and want to come to their church to pay tithes. So, any other question, please?
Good morning, all.
How come you have this voice? All right. Is it? Oh, it's you. Sorry, I thought it was you. Apologies, madam. He threw his voice. He must be a ventriloquist. He threw his voice at you. Okay.
You asked if you pointed to the guy wearing the Instagram red. Did you mean me?
Yes, Instagram, yes.
You meant me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I didn't realize that. Mine is actually a comment. I hope I'm allowed to do that.
Well, the organizers.
A quick comment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Permitted.
Someone called me.
If it's not a speech, go on.
I can't compete with you.
All right.
Well, someone called me a dinosaur a few days ago. I attended an interview, a job interview, and they asked if I was on Twitter, if I had a Twitter account, and I said no. He called me a dinosaur. Yeah, I didn't understand that until afterwards. Yeah, meaning I'm ancient, and the reason was because I'm not.
Let us listen, please.
I'm not tech.
Sorry, sir. Let's take this worship song. Okay. Go on.
I'm not social media savvy.
Interesting.
I'm not tech savvy.
Wow.
You know, and then the guy wonders how come I'm existing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually existing, but I'm not living.
Yeah.
So I came across this topic. I mean, digital innovation and storytelling. And I must tell you that it was the storytelling that caught my attention.
Yeah.
Digital innovation didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm coming out of the closet. I decided to come out of the closet.
The gay type or the other one?
Okay, so I must say, I must commend the organizers of this event. I actually came here to learn and network. And I must say that even though you are supposed to give a keynote address, and typically a keynote address is just, you have turned into a lecture. But I'm glad you did.
Apologies.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did because, I've learned a lot. And as someone seated next who also said something, I overheard him saying that you struck a lot of chords in him. So I want to commend.
Hallelujah, somebody, please.
I want to commend the organizers of this event. Like I said, I'll listen to be able to understand the kind of questions I should ask.
Yes, sir.
But I'm glad that I came today, even though my wife was wondering, what are you going there to do?
Please put your hands together for him, please. Yeah. The man wearing vegetable green wanted to say something. Okay, there's a lady. Okay. Switch on our mic, please. Yes, ma'am. Okay, let me help you there. Like I said, I have seen people introduce themselves as an influencer. That is a misnomer. You are not an influencer. You don't even if you are not supposed to say that. It is the people who experience you that should be able to say, you have influenced me. And this is part of storytelling. So storytelling is not about, I don't come today, today's story is story. No. It is from the use of your product, from the use of your services, from the experience of you that people begin to tell their stories. For example, this man just told a story of his work and why he's here and what resonated with him and the testimony he heard from the person he's sitting beside. Which means he has done so many things while seated there. He has learned, he has asked questions, in his thirst for knowledge, he has networked, he has met people, and he has been able to fill in the gaps that he had. Those are stories, and it's coming from him, not you. All you need to do is listen to the voice within your core, know who you are. Don't try to be like anybody. Don't do things like everybody else. You understand? Be you. The reason why we call it social media is because we're seeing the uniqueness of each and every individual. That's why thinking is very difficult. When something happens, the first thing most people do in the 21st century is to look at what their influencers are saying, so that you can use their giftings and their research and their established position to form your own ideology or to form your own thinking of that thing. It makes it easier. You cannot be critically thinking about everything. Imagine you going to the supermarket. Yes, calories 5, this. You will run mad. You won't even buy anything at the end of the day. But when somebody recommends to you that, you see that, you look at the picture in so and so when Barrister Mike started comedy. Look at the picture now. This is what he fits on. Simple as ABC. That's the story already. If he says it's Indomie, people will start buying more Indomie because they want to also have flesh, like him. Because they knew where it was coming from. His brand story tells us this was how he was, and this is how he is now. How many of you have seen the picture of Alibaba before when he started? You understand? You can't compare with the Alibaba of now. If you bring out that picture now, it will be hate speech. Next question. I hope I answered your question, ma. So it's not just about, when you say continuous, you have already established yourself. This is who I am, and this is the story I'm telling. But again, this is what I do, and this is what I'm into, based on my story. People will now connect to you, get services, or even if it is inspiration, it is still something. Because it's not everything is not about money. Sometimes inspiration is it. Look, we are all mad in this country. You understand? As in, we live in a country with crazy people. And we are contributing our craze to that craziness. You understand? On a daily basis. And you have insurance company who are supposed to look at, in fact, don't let me give anybody any ideas today. Look at areas of mental health and begin to say we are selling insurance so that you can all have access to shrinks and psychologists. In America, it's a big issue. But they're not thinking, there is no innovation in their storytelling. They are there because they are looking for where to put money in. They're not there to help anybody. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So everything has a story. Everything has a story. So don't say, is it every day? No, there is always something happening to people who are using your product. And you can always talk about these stories. Thank you very much. Any other?
That will be all. Thank you very much, sir. A round of applause for him once again. Thank you very much for your time, sir. We would like to take pictures with you. So I'd call on Demola Adetona and Wale to take a picture with him. Thank you very much for telling us your story. Very interesting, by the way. So while that is going on, we will be getting ready for our first session, which is about effectively utilizing digital media in entertainment. I'm particularly excited about this one. Thank you very much, Shegun Awosonya, a.k.a. Sega. A round of applause for him once again. If you have any question that you want to ask, I think you can just look for a way to meet him after the event to ask your questions.
Okay. Tell them that the Yoruba people are amongst the crowd. It is not Shegaling, it is Segaling.
Okay. He said it is not Shegaling to the Yoruba people who try to call him Shega. It is Sega Link. Okay. A round of applause for him once again. I think that was absolutely fantastic. So if you have any question, you can always tweet at him or you can meet him after this event to ask questions. Okay. So our first session. Yes, that was the keynote address. So our first session, which is effectively utilizing digital media in entertainment, and I'd be moderating this session, by the way. So I'd be calling on our facilitators, the speakers that we have for this session, and I am absolutely excited because you know practically all of them. I'm sure you follow practically all of them as well. So I'd be calling Toby Bakare. A round of applause, Toby Bakare. We all know him. Content creator. Yes, I can call him an influencer because he makes us want to buy stuff. Delta A. Yes, and of course, we know him from BBN 2018. Also, I'd be calling the girl who has chopped the most slaps in this life. I'm telling you. Please give a round of applause to Tawoma. Yes, Apa Okagi, Marianne. We hope your mommy will not slap you for coming to this event. And then, of course, we have the man who has been looking for a job since the inception of social media. But I think he just got a job. But at 8 o'clock, after 1 hour, he's already tired. A round of applause for MC Lively, please. I think you look like, he does not look like he's looking for a job. I think you've arrived already. He has blown. He's not looking for a job again. And then I have someone who has made our work as presenters. I have someone who has made our work as presenters extremely tedious because once you give them the mic, they run away. I'm talking about Chewy Chew, who has embarrassed half of Nigerians on social media. A round of applause for Chewy Chew, content creator, host, MC. And then finally, I have with me Dele Kadiri, and he is the general manager of Boomplay Nigeria. I'm sure you know Boomplay Nigeria. Yes. But now I'm jealous. I don't think you people have clapped for me like this today. Oh, wow. A round of applause for the moderator, Pelumi. Thank you very much. Okay, so, and then we have one more person who will be joining us. I know him as Wilberforce Willie in Flatmates. Yes, I'm talking about but he'll be joining us. So once you see him, stepping on stage, just give him a round of applause as he joins this panel discussion. Okay, so we're going to officially kick off this session. So we have just 2 mics. So, okay, we'll be here. We'll manage it. I'm sure we can manage it. Okay. Who's ready? Who's ready? For those who are in entertainment, say aye. Aye. Wow. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much for making time out for us today, for being here with us. We absolutely appreciate you being here today. So I hope you're all doing very well. I mean, fresh people, my God. Wow, money is good. Instagram is good because a lot of the people here have made use of digital media in the entertainment space. They have entertained us with skits, comedy, content, and we need to learn how they do it and how they've actually gotten to where they are today. Okay, so a general question that I would
ask: what is the first thing you pick when you wake up this morning? Your phone, Abi?
Bible. My Bible.
Okay, wait. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. If you know that you wake up and you pick your Bible, raise up your hand. Let's be sincere with ourselves.
Yes, Bible
okay, wait. If you pick the physical Bible, raise up your hand. Okay, that's fine. So if you know when you wake up, you pray first, raise up your hand. We should not lie, yo. I can tell you. So if you know when you wake up, your first thing is your phone. You want to check your Instagram, raise up your hand. Don't let us. See, I won't lie to you. Okay, hold on. So for me, I know I pray, but first thing, I want to check the messages, my emails, or everything that happens on social media. If my brand, if any message has come on board that will affect my brand, I want to check immediately because I don't sleep on time. Sometimes 2 a.m. I need to check before I take a nap, wake up at 5 a.m. First thing is my phone. Then I can now go to my prayer. The reason why this is happening is technology, digital lives have come into our day-to-day, what we do. So it's very important. The way digital affect everything, things have changed. So the way we look at things, especially the younger ones, now, they don't, if before you wake up, they're already there. Before things, they will see them, they make things go viral easily. So for me, I'll talk about my business. So digital actually influenced my business a lot in so many ways. So maybe during the discussion, I'll tell a story on how younger people are actually making cool money on my platform. So Boomplay is a musical distribution whereby we distribute all content, audio content, video, and podcast. So maybe during that section, when you have that question, I'll tell a story about how people are actually making money from the platform.
Okay. A round of applause for him, please. I say, oh yes, my mommy did that to me. Or, oh yes, so when I was looking for a job, this happened to me. Or it's basically relatable. So I want to ask, what are the tips? Can you give us tips on how exactly you find the right story to share that you know will give you the results that you want?
Okay, if I can speak on that. The first question, pretty much I will speak on the first and the second. For the first, I think it's more knowing what you are known for. I mean, we all have social media platforms, and most of our audience know us for a particular thing, or they know us in a particular way. So if you check your demographic, you have a certain age of people following you. So when you follow those numbers and you look at it, it kind of tailors your mindset to the kind of content you can create and the people that will resonate more, or the people that would appreciate your content more. So by the time you look at, okay, like for me, for instance, I have numbers between 13 and 38. So if I do content for like older people, I won't get a lot of traction. Do you get? So knowing your followership and knowing the kind of things they like and the audience you have helps you tailor that. So the next question was, sorry?
2 tips in sharing a good story.
Tips in sharing a good story, it still boils down to knowing your audience. I mean, when you start up, you're going to try different things. And in trying different things, you're going to realize what stuck out or what was unique. MC Lively, for instance, I'm sure with his joblessness, he didn't just start with being jobless. I'm very sure... I'm very sure he had tried other things. Same as me, before I found what would really connect to my audience, it was more of trying this, trying that, because I almost could do everything. So I was just trying this, trying that. And in all of that, I found what I enjoyed, and I found what people loved about me. So that kind of helps me tailor what, like now, if I do an ad where I wear a suit, like, hello, please come and buy a land, we're selling lands at Novotel, like, I'm just going to get like 20,000 views. But if I come and buy a land.
And offshets.
Offshets,
that's the major thing.
Like, trust me, everybody's going to laugh, but at the same time, they're going to get the message. Just like what our note speaker said, that how you pass the message would make it resonate more with your audience. So I figured I have young people, we like to dance shaku, we like to see nice things, we like funny and interesting stuff.
And
so
the
just
girls like to see chest.
And the girls like to see chest. So. All right, thank you.
A round of applause, please.
All right, hi guys. Good morning.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good half. Barrister Mike have destroyed all the English I know before. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon, and I hope that you guys have a swell time as well as I do. So if I'm to say 1 or 2 things about... You people are confused, are you?
I cannot relate.
Everywhere first quiet. Kilo happen. So please, I'm going to mix the English and the Ejo. Take me the way I am, please. This microphone is not loud. I will complain if nobody can. Check. Mic check. 1, 2, 2. Yeah, this is it. So, as a what's the question you asked? Well, I remember I'm just.
Okay.
So, like she said, in addition to what my brother here said, I think, like Mr. Segalin said, it's what's important that you know yourself. It's good to know your audience, but you're trying to build audience. You're trying to get more audience by the day. I think when you make a post today, you expect that it's not the same audience you made the post for today that will see the post tomorrow. You want to get more audience as time goes on. So before you learn about your audience, you need to learn about yourself. What am I? What do I do? What do I do best? What do I resonate that most people do not? If I was to give a perfect example, I'll give a perfect example of myself. When I started out, for a while I was doing skits. Like he said, I was trying many things. But I realized about 6 months down the lane that I was trying to be other people. I wasn't trying to be myself. So I said I was going to try to be myself. Who am I? I'm a lawyer who doesn't have a job, who is living in Ibadan. And basically that's just the story I told. So every story that I've told since that time, people will say, jobless fellow. It's not the only story that I've told, like Mr. Sega said. It is not the only story, but every other story is like like tree now. When you plant tree, like that place on the ground. What's that place? That one, root. Yes. So like the roots. Do you understand? So the root is the most important. Once you have the roots, then it is easy for the branches to. Don't I did not ask you. So once you have the roots, it's easy for the branches and everything. So I think the most important thing, the first thing one must do, learn yourself. And it is a continuous process. I think till anybody dies, you're still learning things about yourself that you did not know yesterday. So I think the most important thing in storytelling, learn about yourself. What do I know how to talk about the best? What do I know how to talk about the best? I think that's the most important. That is from my perspective, in my opinion. Thank you.
A round of applause, please. Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to speak on the first thing and the second thing, also piggybacking off of what MC Lively said. So most people know me as a content creator. I'm not just playing in the entertainment space, I also play in the media space, even though I do it quietly. So yes, I'm a presenter, but I also direct and I produce, which means I study content. And the first question about your numbers, the big thing for me with numbers is insights. It gives you feedback. That's the fantastic thing about the digital space. You're seeing your feedback like this versus traditional media where you have to wait for the numbers to come in and it's Nigeria. You don't know if they're cooking the numbers or not. You're seeing your feedback right there in front of you. And for me, my early days at Pulse, I used to read every single comment. I promise you, every single comment, everywhere was reposted. That's how I learned and I tweaked some things, or it made me realize that I'm on the right track. As someone who came from an engineering background, when I got my first job in media, my dad said it's just NYSC extension. So for me, I used to struggle with, okay, I really want to do this, but I need to know that if this risk I'm taking is worth it. So when you see that feedback on social media, it lets you know to adjust or to stay the course. And the thing about feedback I like to say is that the best feedback you can ever get, whether good or bad, is the one that is said behind your back. Half the time in the early days, nobody knew my name. They didn't know who I was, but they would just be talking about the content, and I would see and study the elements of what they're talking about, and then I would apply that towards future content going forward. Now, like MC Lively said, knowing yourself. I like to say you know yourself and be comfortable with yourself. Everybody has their different times to blow, and that's the thing about virality. Don't let anybody tell you that they can make things go viral. Viral cannot be controlled by virtue of that word. So today, Chris Clown is popping. Tomorrow, when last has anybody seen a Chris Clown skit? Nobody? 2.8 million followers. He's probably the largest comedian, Nigerian comedian with the largest following. But today, he's not as hot. I want to mention names. These are my guys, but I want to lay out the facts for you so that you can look at it and you can check. And if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. Tomorrow, Shadyville, the guy who mimics the Cardi B thing. Anybody seen that? And now he's popping. But everybody with more followers than him, you don't watch him no more. African Ace in America, Mama Toby, you have joined Gbagada, Komi. All these guys were hot. Everybody has their time. So don't force it. Okay? And being comfortable with yourself is the second question, right? It's Toby looks at the feedback, the insights on his social media, and he knows what to tailor to his audience. Know that as content creators, you are artists. And for me, in my head, there are two types. You can make for your audience, or you can make for yourself, and then you draw people to you, just like musicians. You're really not much different from a musician. So for every track they drop, every skit you drop, it's still projects. Are you following me? So some of them really, they're singing, they're telling their own stories, and you will find your tribe that can relate with you, and that's how you grow your own audience. Some people are good with numbers, like Toby. He gets it. Don't try to be like Toby. The other people who are not like Toby, it may take a while to grow, but when you grow your fans, you're growing loyalists. These people are loyal to you. So you can be like, Rihanna hasn't dropped music in like 2 years, but she still has her fans. That is what loyalty gets you. Okay? And MC Lively, one thing I loved about this guy, like I said, I study content. People know me for doing the interviews on the streets. Those interviews are real. I do not do fake interviews, right? And what I liked about him was, it was a flip. He ran a skit, but he then, my interviews from the perspective of me asking someone a question. But when he started, or when I started to notice him, he became the interviewee. So it was him answering these questions. And there was an art to what he did, because he addressed social issues. It was funny, but he addressed social issues. And I think that's one thing you did maybe better than I did, because I also address social issues in my interviews. I have the big stereotype that I go out to make people look stupid. But, I mean, if you really check it, right, you don't ever see me laugh at anybody. I'm really being myself. Go back and check the interviews where I went to Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I went to Ahmadu Bello Zaria, OAU. And I went to Nnamdi Azikiwe University. I'm in the school, and I'm asking them who was the first president of Nigeria. I give you 2 wrong options, and you still don't know. But you're in the school named after the guy. I went to OAU. I asked them, are you proud of your school? Yes. Whose name is on the 100 Naira notes? They don't know. I went to Zaria. What do I ask them? Are you proud of your school? Yes. Whose face is on the 200 Naira notes? They don't know. But I'm in the school named after the guy on the 200 Naira notes. There's a deeper message to that. It's funny, but we're not teaching history in schools anymore. So for every one person that fails these simple questions, it represents maybe 20,000 Nigerians out there. Right? So yes, laugh, but please take away the message. Okay? That's what I do. So
thank you. So please, while you're taking pictures or videos of this session, please make sure you use the hashtag Lagos Digital Summit. Thank you very much. Okay, so Taoma, you've been very quiet. So we are gonna come to you. No slapping here. So we all know that you've taken good use, or you've made social media like your thing, like Instagram especially. Like, you're one of the hottest now, if I do say so myself. So as a young content creator, what are the metrics you aim for? What exactly do you aim for when you're creating your content?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. When I create my content, I make sure I'm passing a message across to young people out there, because turns out everybody's stubborn, and one way or the other, you make your parents want to.
Put it closer to you.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. I make sure I pass a message across to young people out there, and also pass a message across to parents on how to deal with their children. I'm not an expert, but I know my mom has taught me a lot about that. And with everything I see whenever I post my skit and the replies I get, the comments, it has made me conclude that we are stubborn children. So, because everybody can relate to everything I do. So I make sure I pass a message across that, okay, if your child is doing this, it's not actually to slap the child or to eat the child, because I get that a lot. You're promoting child abuse and stuff. But it's just to know that you have to scold a child when a child does this and that. And I had a little comic relief so that you won't feel like, no, just want to kill the child. So I make sure I pass a message across. Whatever I do, be it advert or my personal skit, I pass a message across.
A round of applause for her, please. So, Dele Kadiri, I'd like to ask, at Boomplay, you do a lot of music promotion, and then digital media has obviously been of great help. So what exactly is your strategy in doing all of this music promotion?
Okay, before I go into that strategy, so as a platform that distributes content globally, so what the way we actually arrive at the strategy is we actually profile the target audience of people that listen to Boomplay. So because we have all the content from new school to the old school and all the classics, so we know that, okay, fine, our core audience is from 18 to 24, which are the younger ones. So what we did was, like last year we are like 10 million on Google Play Store. So this year we're like 50 million. We hit 50 million like last month. So what we did different was we went into all the universities. We went there with the concert where we went with the artists. So what we did was everybody that want to attend that concert. So we go to every schools. We ask you, which artist do you want to see in your school? So when they tell us the artist they want to see, so we go into that school. We make sure the access for you to come and watch that artist, it has to be Boomplay app. So you need to download the Boomplay app and have a 1-month subscription, which is 500 naira. For us, it really worked for us. We did, and also we went with Fame House to 30 universities, which really worked for us. So for us, we focus on our target audience has been a really great improvement for us. So, and also next year we are actually looking to do more of that. So numbers is really very important for us, because also, apart from us getting the numbers, we need to look at our artists, the artists that put their content on our platform. Are they really making enough money? So we are actually considering that also, because as you know, in music industry, what has been the problem for us has been the piracy. So which we think we've conquered the Alaba piracy, not knowing that the biggest piracy is the digital piracy. So which also we are also fighting. So for us, the strategy has been focus on the youth, do more for them, because every school we go to, we give out like 20 phones, 30 phones. So we do more for the students. So we need to do more for them to come back to the platform. So that is the strategy we are applying at Boomplay right now.
Well, thank you very much for that. A round of applause for him, please.
One second, sorry. So one thing I've come to realize that one thing that can help you as a content creator, as an independent person, is to draw parallels. I choose to draw a parallel with myself as a content creator, with a musician. Now, what I've taken from this guy, Boomplay, it's a company, which means they have lots of money. Now, the strategy he used to boost that brand is to make people download the app. It's the same thing as your favorite influencer saying, you must be following me to do this giveaway. Do you understand? Now, they have the money to do that. If you don't have the money, they work with the demographics. They see they're 18 to that, and they cater to that. You have to have the money. You have to have that cash flow too. At that point in time, you're producing, like Malta Guinness, right? They see Lagos loves it. They will produce towards Lagos. They have the money. They can take the loan to do that.
Sorry, for us, because we have the back end, we can see every traffic, the way it's coming. And also, I think we should know that Boomplay actually come with every Techno phones, Infinix and Itel. So if you are buying those phones, it's preloaded into those phones. So if you are playing any music, Boomplay is a default player to those phones. So even though you download a songs from Niger Loaded, it's playing on Boomplay app. We are seeing at our back end. So we can actually talk to the artist. Why are you not making money with your content? Why do you give it for free? So because all those blog guys, they make money from their AdSense. So why can't you like put it on Boomplay and generate revenue for yourself? So we have the back end for us to help us. But for these guys, they might not have that analytics. So, but they do what people that they feel that, okay, people we entice people that will make them to come back all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So I'm sorry. We'd like to just make sure that everybody talks and they share their experiences as well. So I'd like to ask you, Toby. I mean, we all know you from Big Brother Nigeria, and coming out of the house, you basically created an identity for yourself, especially on social media. I mean, even some of the things you were not doing before in terms of presenting and all, you delved into that. So can you just tell us or explain to us how you've been able to create an identity for yourself, and with the use of social media, how you've been able to project it to the people so that you get the kind of jobs you want, the kind of deals you want, and the kind of, basically the things that are tailored to you and your personality?
Okay, for me, when it comes to social media, there are different types of brands. Like using my brother and I as examples, I have a personal brand. I've always had a personal brand. Before Big Brother, like you still see me putting out my workout stuff. You see me wearing fine natives. Ashebi Bella will feature me. Like even before going into the house, I had about 25,000 followers just from my normal lifestyle. So people actually appreciated all that I did. My brother on the other end, like when my brother started, I had like 4,000. That's Cracks TV, by the way. When they started, he had like 1,000 followers. He would beg me that I told me to repost my post. I'll be like, I beg Jerry, who likes comedy? Like my brother enjoyed everything he did. He would be in his room editing videos, laughing in the midnight. I thought my brother was losing it. Like honestly, imagine you're just sleeping there, someone's just laughing. It's crazy. So like there are different types of brands. It depends on the kind of brand you want to build. Hey, H Factor, Jesus.
Don't worry about Yoruba is allowed.
See influence. Your friends will always influence you.
Birds of the same feather.
So it depends on the kind of brand you're trying to build. For me, it worked building my personal brand, going into the house. In fact, I would say for BBN auditions, it was one of the things that sold me. Because they asked me, what do you do? I'm a banker. How come you have muscle? They can see the workout videos. They can see that I'm looking sharp. And then when they checked on Instagram, this guy has numbers. How come? So they found that appealing that, okay, for you to be appealing enough online to get 25,000 followers as a banker, that means there's content in you. And I think that's one of the things that sold to them. So me, I was Ojoro, because going on Big Brother platform, I'll tell everybody, low key. You work for it, but it's Ojoro. So I came out and I had like 250K followers. So it was confusing for me, knowing I could do everything and anything. And me, I like to try everything and anything. So I was pretty much trying things, and eventually I did things I loved. I love creating content. Like, trust me, in front and behind the camera, I love putting content together. So it's a message I want to pass across to everybody here. Please do not care too much about the numbers. Do not care too much about the numbers. Eventually, the numbers will come. You have to really honestly enjoy what you do. What will draw people to you is authenticity. It will shock you what people will learn to love. Like today, you're just doing something on your Instagram. People might even insult you for it. But like years down the line, you just become the rave of the moment. And trust me, that period you will cash out. It will all be worth it. So what I'm telling you is keep it going and eventually do what you love. I'm hosting because I love it. I'm creating content because I love it. Like if I wasn't paid to do it, I'll still do it. That's how much I enjoy these things. Any day, anytime, I would take off my shirt because I like the picture. You get me? So, like, I love everything that I do. So even if I'm not getting paid for it, I'll still do it. And that's why brands want to pay you for it, because they can see that you have authenticity. They can see there's continuity, because I'm never going to stop. Do you understand? And that's what everybody wants with your brand, integrity. They know that, okay, it's not as if Toby will come with pot belly tomorrow and he has wants to... I've invited him to the gym. He'll come, he'll come twice in a month and he'll see me again. All right, so that's pretty much it. So please, let's all learn to do what we love. Let's not get too crazy or emphasize about the numbers. Numbers will always come and go. When I left Big Brother, if I post my finger, I'll get like minimum 80,000 to 150,000 likes. Now, who bought me where? Post my finger, now lie. I must pose, soak belly,
or jump,
pose, or jump, or fly. Do you get? But then it goes up and down, up and down. I don't care about that. I just do what it is that I love, and we should all do the same. Thank you.
A round of applause. Okay. So, MC Lively, for you, I want to ask that, because we know you studied law, right? So was comedy always an option for you? And why or how did you realize that Instagram could be a tool for you to push yourself and to, create a better pathway or a career for yourself?
So, I'm so sorry. Can I quickly chip in something from what you said?
Sure, definitely.
So, I want to say it because it's very, very important. People care about numbers way too much nowadays, and I think it's really, really dangerous. I think it's terrible, honestly. I think instead of people to think about what they have that they can upload online, because for me, I think Instagram is a tool. For me, I think Twitter is a tool. It's a platform where you put your product. If you're selling shoes, it's where you put your product. If you're a comedian, if you're a musician, I think the social media is there for you to put something that you already do. Do you understand me? So it means that if you do this thing consistently, sometimes you get the numbers to rise, sometimes they're low. I'm one of the people who don't believe when they say someone is a rave of the moment. I do not believe that. I think if you do something very well, you send value to people, I think for a very long time you'll be relevant. Am I wrong or correct? So I don't think when people say, okay, you are the rave of the moment, I don't even pay mind to those kind of compliments because I don't think they are necessary. That's number one. To answer your question, law was the option. Entertainment was the main plan. Yes, so law was the option if I wasn't funny enough. Yes, because there was a time when I wasn't funny enough. There was a time, and that's another thing. People need to understand that it takes time. Even now, I'm still not funny enough. It takes time to build whatever it is that you have. Some people want to start doing comedy skits today and become Sidney Talker in one day. Do you understand what I'm saying? I want to throw a general opinion question here. I hope it doesn't hurt anybody. When you see a post that says 1K comment and I drop this, how do you feel? Very, very bad. Please, are you going to drop the content? Abi, you will not drop it. Why are you not telling us that 1K comment and you will drop it? Do you get what I'm saying? So I think people focus on the comments that they're going to get instead of focusing on the value that they're going to send to people. And for me as a person, from day one, I always wanted to send value across. I always wanted to learn more. I always wanted to impact lives as much as I could. So law for me was an option. If comedy didn't work out for me, law was going to be an option. So when I realized Instagram was a tool, I think it was after law school. When I finished law school, I was a bit confused. I had the part where I didn't know how I was going to do it, what I was going to do exactly. And would I say lucky for me or lucky for all of us? We are in an age where when you need information, you get it within a second. You get it in the twinkle of an eye. So I think it's a favorable thing for all of us. It's a favorable tool for everybody, and it's for everyone majorly. So when I got out of law school, that was the time. If I start, I will not finish today. You understand? So let me just give you small points like that. Thank you.
Round of applause. He did not give the point.
What do you say? And even that first time, I forgot that question. This time too, I forget it, but I did not want to ask again. When your question is too long. Where is my point?
When did you realize Instagram was the tool?
Okay, that's what you asked me. I thought I was commenting on Toby's comment. Okay, so I'll break it down a bit. Let me just tell a story about myself. Just a little bit of my story. So I went to law school in 2017. 2016, stroke 17. And the normal thing in Nigeria when you go to school is that whatever it is you went to school for, you do it when you're out of school, right? So when I got out of school, first thing my mother asked me, which law firm am I going to work? Is it law firm or law firm? Which law firm am I going to work inside? So, is it not working inside the law firm? She asked me, which law firm will I work inside? People are distracting me. This question, I can't tell the story very well. Let's not laugh, please. Bone face, please. Good. So my mom, as usual, my parents asked me, Where do I want to do this? Blah, blah, blah. What are my plans? And in truth, I had absolutely no idea. And it's all right to, at some point, not have any idea what you're going to do. In fact, it's very fine. I had no idea. But I knew that I wanted to learn. I always knew that I could talk. I always knew that I had the ability to MC events. But I wasn't sure if it was enough. So what I decided to do was I decided to learn more. I decided to start going to comedy shows. I bought a lot of CDs, a lot of comedy CDs. I started watching Trevor Noah. I started watching SLK, Chewy Chew. And what I did basically was I tried to see what are these people doing that made them quite successful. The people who were already using these tools, these Instagram tools, what were they doing that made them very successful? I tried to measure from every other person. And I picked little by little from each person. So I think when I was able to aggregate that, and I said, okay, this is how I want to start my own. Do you get what I'm saying? Did I get to the point now, please? Thank you.
So, Chewy, I'd like to ask you, we've been hearing so far that we should focus on more on ourselves rather than the numbers. So you should basically put out what you love to do and not focus on the numbers. But then at the same time, the numbers kind of tell us if we're doing something right or if we're doing something wrong. So I'd like to ask, how do we find a balance between looking at the numbers to gauge the reaction of people to our content and at the same time not focusing on it so much that it becomes dangerous to our minds and how we create ideas and content?
So again, there are two types of people. There are people who can do this by themselves and there are people who need help. Don't be afraid to ask for help, whether it's a manager or a mentor. I can sense a Toby, MC Lively, and even myself. Like, I can see a number and then I don't get distracted by all of that. The 1K comments statement he made, you can look at it two ways again. You can look at it as this person is being thinking too much about themselves, or feedback. Just don't abuse that 1K comment all the time. So once every 3 months, 1K comments and I drop this. If you get 1K comments, what does that tell you? It tells you that your brand is still strong. If you don't get 1K comments, it tells you, I may be dropping. Time to go back to the drawing board. Let's see what's happening. So again, when I left Pulse in 2017, I went into other things. And people say you don't see your Vox Pop videos anymore. Yes, because I'm very busy on the back end. Like I said, I produce content. So I realized that when I post the Vox Pop, the interviews, I get a decent amount of engagement. But when I post, oh my God, look at that ad, your pizza ad, I directed that. Nobody really engages with that. So that tells me that nobody really cares for what I do behind the scenes. Nobody really cares for that aspect of my growth. They just care for Chewy Chew the face, not the guy behind the scenes, right? So it's you have to find a balance. And if you can't do that by yourself, like I said, find a mentor, find someone to bounce ideas off of that will keep you grounded. Because again, that numbers game drives people crazy where they think, oh my God, I have to get these numbers, I have to get these numbers. No, because if Instagram collapses tomorrow, what then happens? It is either you're good or you're not. Do you understand? So if Instagram collapses tomorrow, like I said, I direct. I know what I want to use MC Lively for. I would just take him, even if he had no followers, I would take him and put him on TV. And what is it to put 200,000 naira or 2 million in PR spend? Once you have money to push your content, well, something is good, it's good. Nobody knew me before. I used to beg people, let me follow you to work. Let me just be your shadow. And nobody would do that. But all of a sudden, I am where I am. I'm thankful for that. So I had to be good to get there. So if you're not good, you're just not good. So really, again, not too much in the numbers. Get somebody to look at those numbers for you. Spend the money for someone to do that. It's an investment in yourself. It's not an expense. So think long term.
Okay, guys, just to... Sorry to interrupt.
Let them clap. Let them clap.
Oh yeah, clap, please. Let's clap for him. You inspired me. You inspired me. All right, just to add to what he's saying, from practical terms, yeah, I think there's a time where you can start thinking about the numbers. For now, I see a lot of young brands. By the time it's the young brand, please post as much as you want to. If you feel like posting 10 times a day, by all means, post 10 times a day. Because at the initial point, I never really cared about the likes. I just knew you're a fine boy, give them. But now, because I'm working with brands professionally, I can't say I discard the numbers. I don't want a brand to pay me to put out content and then the content is not getting as much engagement. Do you get? Because there has to be return of value. I take your money, you get your value. Do you understand? So in every way possible, I look at it like with my brands, I create the content myself. I creative direct, I shoot, I edit, I do everything myself. So a lot of, because I know my crowd, my brand sometimes will say, do it like this, do it like this. I'll tell them, if I do it like this, I promise you it won't work. In fact, keep your money. Do you get? Because if you don't deliver the first time, trust me, they won't come back the next time. So what you have to do is, there's that point you don't bother about numbers, but there's that point you get to, you start working with brands, you have to be creative about it. There are a lot of things you can do online to drive engagement. Do you understand? Naturally, people like me, I won't lie, just honesty. When I came out of the house, my engagements were mad because people wanted me to blow. But now it's as if this boy is getting there. So they're just like, they are not surprised anymore. My success doesn't surprise anybody anymore. If I say, if I say I'm in any Nollywood movie, my fans are not really hyped. They already expect it. So the comments are not that crazy. If I go to Hollywood ahead, then they'll shout again. So all of that happens. There's always that level you get to. It's not growing high anymore. So you have to learn what you can do to pull them in. I was never a huge fan of giveaways. Like, I would rather do courses. Let's all learn. Let me empower. Do you get? But I do that, but I realize at the same time, it's not like I give away cash. But in terms of letting them feel like I see you. Your fans or your supporters or your followers want to know that you see them. I engage in my comment section. Whenever I have a shoe I'm not using, or whenever I have a shoe I engage them like, okay, guys, come on, my life, there's shoe for everybody. Do you understand? If it's not your size, give your boyfriend. So all of this makes us feel like one big happy family because that is what it is. They support you. You need their numbers. In a way, you also have to learn to involve them in your life at the right time. So, thank you.
So a little bit on what Toby said. Personally, I do not care for numbers anymore. I think it's a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise for me. I'll explain. So while I was at Pulse, we grew from 13,000. At the time I left, it was 500 and something thousand. And a lot of people knew that, yes, my face was primarily one of the biggest reasons a lot of people visited Pulse. I mean, we were a team, yes, but I was the face in front of there. My personal numbers weren't growing. The company was growing, and I didn't have a problem with that. So now I leave, and then people are like, your numbers are little, you're bigger than these numbers, it doesn't match up. So I know that my skill and my face or whatever, it's bigger than the 45,000 you will see on my page, right? So I don't care for numbers. I see a client here or someone that should have been a client one time, and when people come to me, I tell them, look, don't come to me for my numbers, come to me because you know that I can deliver. There are campaigns I've worked on where I was an influencer with the lowest amount of followers, but it was over a period of time. By the end of that campaign, I was the only one left standing because I did my job and I did it right. So again, I'm a big advocate of be yourself, do your job well. Because it is, if I was a brand manager, I will pick a nobody who knows how to do it right. So if I have 2 million to spend, I may not put 2 million on Toby, no. I will give you 200K and put 1.5 PR behind you. So I will bet on you to blow because you are good. And it's cheaper for me. And it's a win-win situation in the end. You blow, I don't spend as much, Toby, sorry. And we're good. So please, right? When you're good, you will survive any platform. If Instagram crashes tomorrow, they remember who was good, who can get the job done. They will come to you.
Okay, from the brand perspective, we look at the numbers. If you're not doing well, you're not doing well. So, for me to engage Toby, I need to seek Toby numbers. Okay, Toby, your number is good. So, but sometimes we also do some things. Like I'll give a short story. There is a guy. His name is Ekene. He's on our platform. He does his production himself, mastering himself, everything himself. And we find out this guy is good. And we call him to our office. We interview him. And the guy said he made money on Boomplay, first $100 on Boomplay. Because we saw the talent in this guy, we said, okay, fine. This guy has a talent. He can do everything. He doesn't need to go to Don Jazzy, come and produce, you pay, or you go to Cracker, go and produce, you pay like 500K. But this guy is on, everything is in his room. We invited this guy to his office, to our office, then we said, okay, we want to invest in you. So these are the things. Sometimes we look at those things, but it's not every time about numbers, but we look at the talent. Okay, if you are good enough, if they're good enough, and we see that, okay, this your content can go far. You can decide to put something behind it. So they're right, but it's not about number. But for us, for our bosses, they want to see, okay, Dele, why do you want to spend so million on this? How many numbers is going to give me? How many downloads am I going to get? How many subscriptions am I going to get? But another way around, we want to maintain a relationship. That's why you see us sponsoring some events that we won't get any numbers. You can see us in Burna Boy event that we are sponsoring. We are not getting anything from it. We just doing it because of it's popular, you have a relationship, let's maintain that relationship. So that's the reason for us. It's just like, okay, you just need to balance things.
Okay, thank you very much. A round of applause, please. So, Taoma. Taoma is like very quiet. You think Taoma is a very, like, she talk like this, slap, talk, slap. But she's very quiet. So I want to come to you. I mean, let's be honest, your content is absolutely amazing. I mean, how you do it. I practically think, a round of applause, please. To be honest, yeah, do you know, I think Mommy Tao is actually existing. She's a person. I mean, even sometimes where the slaps look like it's actually real, both of you are in a frame. So I want to ask, of course, I know some people want to know, what apps, softwares do you use? And also, if you would like to share, how much do you charge per post? You know, so that other people who want to do these kind of things can be encouraged of sorts, because let's be honest, money encourages a lot of things. So, you know, so that they know as well how well social media pays or how well digital media pays.
Okay, I get a lot of questions about the apps I use, software I use to edit. So I use Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects to edit. And yeah, about the money. I said I use Adobe Premiere Pro to edit, Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects to edit, and that can work on any laptop that you have. So about the money, I charge 300, 500 for an advert.
Please, a round of applause. If you did not hear it, you've missed it. And then how long does it take you, Taoma, how long does it take you to edit a 1-minute clip? See, everybody has heard money now. See, everywhere. Kilo day,
Sorry. Don't ask us that question again. Darling, you don't have to answer.
But Taoma, so I mean, 1 minute, a 1-minute clip on Instagram or a 2-minute clip, how long does it take you to edit it? How long does it take you to put it together, from conceptualization, you know, to dressing up and all those things? How long does it? Please, can we just all settle down? I know we're all riled up because of money, but please, let's calm down. Okay, so did we hear the question I asked? So yeah, Taoma.
Guys, sorry, please.
Let's calm down.
Chairman, please, names of noisemakers.
Let's calm down. Thank you. We're about rounding up, so we'd like to just do this quickly. So Taoma, yes, can you tell us how long it takes to edit?
Okay, for getting the concept, because whenever I want to do adverts, I get the script down to the company, so they make correction if they want to make any correction in the script. So that one takes maybe 3 days for me to get a concept for them. But when it comes to shooting, it depends on the characters. If I'm actually making 2 or more characters, and if I'm adding After Effects to it. But if I'm not adding anything, it takes at least a day for me to shoot and edit. That's all.
A round of applause, please. Sorry, we're out of time. We're out of time.
Very important. Very important.
Wait, you will put it at the end.
Okay.
Don't worry. We're going to go around now, and then we're just going to ask, basically, to content creators, what would you advise them? And also, I'd like you to infuse that because I know we all make use of Instagram the most, but aside Instagram, what are the plans, the other digital media avenues that we use aside Instagram? So if Instagram crashes tomorrow, what is the next step for your brand? And of course, your last words to content creators. So we can start from Toby and we can just go like this.
Hi guys, please one house. So when it comes to digital space and social media, there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of innovation going on. So it's Instagram today, tomorrow it's going to be something else. So if you have it, you blow anywhere. So my take to you is build your craft. Whatever it is you want to showcase to the world, you have to build your craft. If you have it, nobody will deny you. Do you get? Because initially, people use me for my numbers. I won't lie. Initially, when I got out of the house, majority of the opportunities I got was, oh, all these big brother people, they hot. If they talk, everybody will look in at their direction. So I got a lot of jobs, but that's not working for me anymore. People are actually inviting me on board now because of the value add. They know, okay, Toby can act for sure. They know Toby can hold a stage. So now I'm getting jobs as a result of that. So what you really want to do is build your craft. Initially, my first hosting gig, I was shaking. It was something really small, but I was shaking. So in a way, I've learned to build on that. And any day, anytime, if Instagram goes, whatever platform they give us, we'll still milk it, we'll still make money because we have it in us. So it's not a matter of the platform, it's a matter of what we have inside.
So I think you pretty much answered that question. If it crashes, if you have it, you have it. You don't have it, you don't have it. I think everybody has something. Everybody has one or two things. It may not necessarily be what the second person has, but everybody has one or two things. So, and if I was to give any message to content creators, first I have to say, when I talk in my opinion. I know the way I think. I don't know how other people think. But what I try to do is I try to tell stories about myself. I try to tell stories that are relatable, stories that people can easily pick and say, oh, that happened to me yesterday, that happened to my friend, that happened to this, that happened to that. And I think one of the things we should charge ourselves with as Nigerians, I think we need to create a platform for ourselves where we can put our content. We don't have indigenously owned platforms for entertainment. We have for music, we have Boomplay, we have lots of indigenously owned apps for other kinds of content. But for our own content, I don't think we do have. As such, we are not independent enough when it comes to what's the word now? Platforms where we can upload our content. So I think one of the most important things that we should aim to do is get indigenous content, especially where we can put entertainment. The movies industry is suffering because of that, because the only place to take your movies to is the cinema. And even the cinema, they take an unreasonably large percentage out of, so people can't even produce movies of their own. So I think one of the challenges that we need to build a platform where we can put our content very easily and make money from it. Thank you.
Okay, for me, my advice to content creator is to be original with your content, because you might think you are not doing well, but like Boomplay is a global platform. We have like 60 million active users. So people are seeing what you are doing. If you are original enough, a lot of people are not making money from Nigeria. They are actually making money from East Africa, Francophone countries. So if you are original with what you are doing, don't look at, okay, Davido is there, Zlatan is there, Naira Marley is there, but people still listen to good music. I'm not saying their music is not good, it's good, but a lot of people, like, they might not have fans like them. Like, okay, if you listen to Adekunle Gold, they might not have the kind of fan like Naira Marley, but still they are making money. I can tell you categorically now, the most selling music on Boomplay is gospel, which is Tokwe Alabi. Is the most selling, is the #1 all time on Boomplay. So people listen, and now that we are now having a lot of gospel artists coming on board. Okay, they want to sign, and also on our own side, we are trying to also like give back we are investing into content also. So we are actually going back to the old days whereby we want to like, okay, we give you, and also you also do it. If your content is good enough, we invest. So I'm saying that publicly now. If you have a content that is good enough, come to Boomplay. Let's talk.
My advice to content creators, people that wants to create content, is just to be you, and you know what you're doing. Don't care about people not watching you, because definitely it's going to be frustrating. But just try as much as possible to put out your content. Someone is watching you, no matter how small it might look to you. When it's just going to click, you will not know. It's just going to be like a dream. So keep doing what you're doing.
Two things, really quickly. For the indigenous platforms we have in Nigeria, we have Iroko TV, which is our Netflix. Linda Ikeji tried to do the social media thing. Didn't really work out. We are pushing. We are trying. We just need to support our own as Nigerians. And then for my final statement is, the question that was given to her, it's a very dangerous question and answer. 500K is not 500K for her. She uses Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects. It's difficult. I don't edit my videos. I do not shoot myself. I do not own a camera. I pay for all these things. So even my free videos you see on my platform, I pay. So that 500K should go to 4 or 5 different people. But if she can do it all herself, she can do it all herself. It's dangerous because she can break down. If she's sick, the videos don't come out. So please do not be afraid to collaborate. Do not be greedy. Do not hear 500K and think, I'm getting all that 500K, because a lot of brands think that. So out of that 500K, pay yourself maybe like 100K. Spend on the camera, spend on a good editor. Do not think, I'll say this out loud, I think Maraji needs to stop editing. She needs to give it to better editors. She's very talented. I've studied Maraji's content before the acting. She's been doing this on YouTube while you guys are watching her on Musical.ly. She's been doing this a while. You can see the idea. But if she had better editors, she can shoot like 5 in a day. Someone else is like getting it done, and it's cleaner, it's nicer, it gets her brand to a better level. So please, guys, that money, 500 is not your 500. Don't be greedy.
So we're just going to take like one question.
Sorry, did you watch Big Bang Theory? How many seasons did they do? You stopped on 8. You got bored, have you? So, like I said, the important thing is the roots. Bro, like I said, the important thing is the roots. When you have a root, which is the basis which your story is told, then you can have other branches. It does not mean that you're doing every time the same thing over and over again. It just means that you're mixing things up. But then there has to be a root. There has to be a basis. There has to be somewhere that the other stories flow from. Do you understand? So every time it's important that people also reinvent themselves. I don't know if you about a year ago thereabout, when I used to do my videos, I'm going to tell my personal story. When I used to do my videos, I used to walk on the streets. They ask a question, and then I answer. Then it got to sometime, I think in January this year, and I myself was bored. It's normal for the audience to get bored. This is very normal. I myself, I was bored of what I was doing. So I needed to reinvent. I needed to tell another story. So I said, okay, what can I do? I decided to bring the old Barrister Mike, what's it called, narrative. Now, as time goes on, people try as much as they can to reinvent. It is not easy, trust me. It is a very difficult process. But as much as you can, try as much to reinvent. And as you reinvent, believe it, once there is already a tree, a root where branches can spring up from, it makes it easy. Thank you.
A round of applause for them as they make their way to their seats. So, yes, but we're going to have a group picture. Okay, Thelma wanted to say something.
Okay, I just want to address the fact that he said I am a representation of Crazy Clown. Please, we are like two different people with two different concepts.
Sound it.
A round of applause, please.
Fine, if you watch Chris Clown's videos, it ends with slap or starts with slap, and I also add that. But you are definitely going to get different message. And for my stories, I do something that is relatable. If your mom slaps you for stealing meat, you know that you stole meat. But sometimes Chris Clown adds some, let's say, fiction in his stories. So that makes us different. So you cannot say contents are too much. Contents are never too much. It just depends on what you're bringing out, what you're offering to people. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have a photo op. Thank you so much. I mean, did you enjoy the session? Yes, this was definitely an interesting and entertaining session as well. So we're going to have a photo op with Wale and Demola. So they're going to take pictures, and then of course they're going to present our little honorarium. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you very much for making out time to share with us your stories, your experiences, and advices as well. Are you glad you came today? You're not glad? It means we need deliverance for you, because if this cannot make you happy, nothing will make you happy. Are you glad you came? So our first session is over, and then we're moving on to the next session. We already have our speakers and our moderator here with us today. Okay, so do not forget that if you're hungry or you need anything to drink, you can always go to the back. We have food, which is at a very reasonable price, very affordable. And then also you can get your drinks from Malta Guinness. The drinks are absolutely free, but the food subsidized, so it is very, very, very affordable. So we are going on to the next session, which is digital strategy and effect on businesses and governance. So for the entrepreneurs or soon-to-be entrepreneurs, or if you're employed or you're just in business, then I'm telling you that you will absolutely enjoy this session, because it is for you on how to use digital strategy, because it's you need to have a process, you need to have a strategy in whatever you're doing, from inception to conceptualization to how you end up, meeting your target market. Whatever it is you do, you need a strategy. So right now we are going to be learning on how to use digital media in strategizing better. Who's excited? Okay, now wow, you people, you don't sound so excited. Well, woo. If Davido should come here now, everybody's going to Well, we said digital media, now is woo. It's okay. So while we're moving into the next session, please can we all just settle down, so that people at the back can hear, people at your side can hear. So let's just settle down. So for this next session, it is going to be moderated by Franklin Ozekome, and he is a strategy director at Insights. A round of applause for him as he makes his way. Franklin Ozekome, yes, and he's a strategy director at Insights. So for this next session, who knows piggy bank? Who saves with piggy bank? Okay, a proud piggy banker. Yes, I actually use piggy bank, and I can tell you it's absolutely amazing. So we have with us from piggy bank Joshua Chibueze. He is the co-founder and CMO of Piggy Vest. If you know, piggy bank is like a banking app where you save money online. You don't have to go to a physical bank to do it. So a round of applause as he makes his way up. Okay, so the next speaker is Nkemdili Uwaje, and she's the CEO of FutureSoft. The CEO of FutureSoft. A round of applause for her, please. Next is Jubril Gawat, and he's the SSA New Media in Lagos State. A round of applause as he makes his way up. Next, we have Ayomide Shiwoku, and he's the business and Ayomide Shiwoku, and he's the business intelligence and analytics manager at Avon Healthcare. A round of applause for him, please. So you can see we have people from health, we have from banking, we have from tech. So it's a mixture, This is a buffet that you need to enjoy very well. Thank you very much, and of course I leave the floor to you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As we kick off with the next panel section, this time it's going to be a little bit much more, how would I put it, serious than the other section, because we're going to be talking how the impact of strategy, digital innovation has impacted businesses, and the roles my partner here has done in their own individual lives and businesses to make those things happen. We'll kick off with, let's go off with you. You're welcome. You're welcome, everyone. Now, in the past few years, we've seen the role of technology has impacted different industries, from healthcare to medical sciences, agriculture, tech, FMCG. In your role, what role do you think this has played in Nigeria within the last 10 years? Have you seen any evolution that you could point some fingers to?
Okay, thank you very much for your question.
Yeah.
So I do think that technology has played a role in really changing the way that we interact with each other.
Yes.
And if we just look at, the way that banking is done, 10 years ago, I was in the bank at least every Friday to pay in checks, to go and cash checks, to withdraw money, right? And now, I hardly ever go to the bank. The bank is like a very weird place for me to be. And I think that we've seen that change in a lot of other industries. Everything is now easier to do. You can, use Uber to hail a cab and it comes to you. Yes. So technology has definitely disrupted a lot of the traditional ways of how business was being done. And I think that all of it is really consumer driven, right? So I think anything that is being done in technology or in digital is very consumer centric, and the consumer actually drives how it evolves and how it changes, right? And that is basically the consumer is at the heart of disruption.
Is Nigeria, among Africa, let's say even West Africa, is Nigeria unique in terms of how this technology is evolving? Do we see same thing happening in some of our neighboring countries?
So I think Nigeria is actually a pioneer in West Africa, a pioneer in terms of technology adoption, with the speed that technology is being adopted and also created in Nigeria. The only other West African country that is kind of like close is Ghana. The other West African countries, especially Francophone Africa, is actually still very far behind, right? And a lot of people are looking up to Nigeria for new innovations, for how technology, kind of changes things and shifts things in business. And then they use those same models to kind of recreate and see, okay, how does this apply in our market? But I mean, that being said, it's not a copy and paste thing. You can't really, kind of just say we're going to use the same model, because it never works, right? Every single market is different, so you really need to understand where you're operating, how you're operating.
Okay, thanks. That goes to my next question, Jibril. Is there a particular unique operating model for technology? I mean, especially in public services.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jibril Gawat, SSA to the Governor of Lagos State on new media. As you said, I think the most important part for the governance is that we are serving the people, and you need to communicate. Whatever you do, you need to tell the people what exactly are you doing, and if you need to appeal to the people to be patient on some issues,
yes,
you use it to communicate to them. For example, me personally, what I normally do on the social media space is I love to understand government policies. Even before I got the appointment, people that know what I do, if the government says, okay, nobody must pass this area, I don't get angry. I find out why exactly is government saying that we should not pass this area. On my own, I go and find out. And sometimes I explain, even without the government sending me the message. And that was how I was able to build the kind of followership that I have. I tell people the real situations, and I think the governor, in his wisdom, brought me on board deliberately for that. That, okay, if we are doing something, you tell us, how do we communicate with the public? Since it's something you do normally even before being brought on board. So for me, there are some things that I even see. I don't even need to call any commissioner or call the governor to ask. I will answer you directly. But some may be a bit tricky. I need to get clearance and all that. I also know those ones. But I think that the main aspect of it is that the people want to listen to you. The issue of the recent hold-up that has been happening, I've tried to explain several times to people. We've gotten a lot of backlash on the roads for the last 2 or 3, let's say, a month. I also drive on the road. I don't use plane. And what we told people is that, okay, we want to start fixing the roads in mass before the Yuletide season. If we do that, then there will be a little bit of inconvenience. And we've been trying to appeal to people just a little more patience, because if we leave that road and stop it now, when the influx comes during the Yuletide season, it will be worse. So those are the little things, and I think that the most important part of it for the people is that you are serving the people and they need to hear from you, and that's the most important part. Thank you
very much. Thank you. Okay. Odu, maybe I'll just pass the mic. Thank you. The area of fintech, I mean, yours is a very interesting story, because I've also monitored you very, very closely as well. Fintech in Nigeria is relatively a new phenomenon, and even what you call traditional banking services have now been seen to, co-opt them into their own self, so that, they continually evolve. So if fintech startups in Nigeria are still constrained by access to seed capital, is that true? Are there any other ways in terms of how they can not just look at startups, but they can also become as big and fledgling as the being traditional financial companies?
So I would say access to capital is still like a major problem for a lot of startups. in the fintech space, I would say it's harder because, the first question you're being asked is, and we got this question a lot, is why can't a bank do exactly what you're doing? Why should I put money in this? But over time, you start to see a lot of differences in your approach to this kind of services, and you start to create that niche that it becomes impossible, or it becomes very difficult, right, for these big brands to actually do what you're doing. But there is still that risk, right? That's how I'll say it's a bit difficult for people to raise financing. But I would say over time, what you need to focus on is how are you getting customers, right? What are your numbers like? Is your product sticky enough? What's the average lifetime value for a customer using your product? All those very important metrics are things you need to start to look at. Then it becomes easier for investors to talk to you and for you to raise capital.
For PiggyVest specifically, how have you been able to surmount these challenges? Let's give us a backstory. Let's see.
Okay, so for PiggyVest, our challenge hasn't been raising money. Our major challenge basically has been trust, right? Nigeria is a relatively low trust environment, and it's very, very difficult for people to, trust you with their money because, again, you're relatively new. What's the difference? Why should I give you my money to save for me? Who is backing you guys on all these other things? And, again, focus on the message, right? Make sure you're doing exactly what you're advertising, right? So we tell you, you come to the platform, it's simple, it's seamless, you get this, you get Y. Make sure when customers, come onto the platform, they're experiencing the same thing. And then when they start to tell their friends about the product, their friends experience the same thing. That way, you're able to gain more trust. So basically, whatever it is you're advertising, make sure you're doing the exact same thing. So it's easier that way.
Okay, thank you. Let's get to Avon. Nigeria's leading e-payments giant, InterSwitch, recently acquired a majority stake in healthcare technology company called Eclat. I'm sure you're very aware, which means InterSwitch is now staking for a place in the electronic health records and mobile clinic space in Nigeria. What role would you say technology has to play in the future of healthcare in Africa?
Thank you for the question. Good afternoon, everyone. It's very important to know that, like my colleagues have rightly said, disruptions are happening in the healthcare industry, and it's very important for organizations to position themselves in a way to ensure that the service, the healthcare service that they are offering to people are affordable, and a medium for them to be able to access those healthcare plans are quite easy for them to make use of. So for instance, you look at Facebook Messenger today. Facebook Messenger has about 900 million global users today. And if you look at that statistics, it's talking about a quite high number of millennials. They prefer to dwell more on social media applications that has to do with instant messaging. So that's the kind of a market where millennials prefer to dwell on. So it's talking about how technology has evolved over the years, and then organizations need to also position themselves to ensure that they are able to take their products or service offerings to where the millennials are dwelling. As an organization, as Avon, we are also evolving on a daily basis. We are ensuring that we are at the top of utilization of digital technology. We ensure that we interact more with our customers on the social media. We get the feedback, and then we ensure that our customer engagement is apt. On our social media pages, we don't just post comments that talk about people coming to get to buy our products. We ensure that we tell a story for Nigerians to be able to live a healthier, fuller lives, and that is what is really paramount to our business.
Okay, I want to harp on something you just said. You talked about the story. How effective have you told our story? So the healthcare industry in Nigeria, for example, is clearly far from where we want to be, and you can see it in a different kind of, especially with the public healthcare system. How has digital storytelling helped you so far, especially in the area of driving awareness, comprehension, and even possibly usage? Are there things you've put in place that we could learn from, especially for a technical sector like yours?
Definitely. So like I mentioned earlier, our social media, if you follow our social media handles, we always ensure that we put out content that sensitize Nigerians on how to live healthier, fuller lives. So it's not just about telling Nigerians to come and buy our product so that we take care of their healthcare insurance. So we put about tips on diseases, on foods to eat, the impact of what they eat, healthy living habits. So a lot of contents about this are posted on a daily basis on our social media pages to ensure that people are aware.
Aside social media, what other platforms do you use?
So on our website as well, we are able to sell our products on our website. We are able to communicate and engage with our customers on our website as well.
Do you handle? Okay, you want to? What do you want to?
So you're from Avon, right? Okay. There's something I love that they do very well, and that is taking advantage of communities, collaborations. So we announced a partnership with Avon. It was last year, where we're able to make it possible for young people to afford health insurance. So on PiggyVest today, you'll be able to pay for health insurance small. And to me, that was a big leap for them, and we have a lot of plans on making it even bigger than what it is today. So I'd say they're leveraging different channels, like you said, social media. They're also leveraging a lot of collaborations, trying to get the word out there and making sure that young people understand that health insurance is important, and you can actually start by paying very small.
Thank you very much. I'll go to you now. In this era of what you call it, fake news, I mean, when you hear Trump name these days or CNN, they always talk about more fake news. I've been able to combat this using digital platforms. Are there some tricks of the trade that you've learned individually before you entered public service that you're doing and that we could learn from?
Okay. I think for the kind of audience I have on my page, they are very much aware of the amount of, let me say, busting that we've done for the opposition party for the past 4 years. And, because they are used to posting fake news, we are also very much aware, and we are always on the lookout for whatever they post. And we do a lot of fact-checking for images and videos and all that. Like in Kaduna, there was a time that we went on a project to southern Kaduna, and the image that was posted online was as if the whole place was on fire. So we went there with the government apparatus to all the local governments and brought out all the things that to tell people that, yes, there's some crisis going on in some parts, but this is the real situation, without lies, without anything, and people saw it. So from time to time, we've always, even when I got my appointment, the first response that I did was the woman that made a video saying that, Governor Zawolu is passing one way, this. And the evening I got my appointment, that was the first job that I did, because my colleagues called me, my senior colleagues, and said, Mr. Man, your work is on new media. You don't need to wait until you get to office. Start immediately. So I had to respond to the video of the woman saying that, first, the vehicle in the video was a Lexus. The governor does not drive a Lexus. He drives a Range Rover Sport, and his plate number is not covered. It's not always covered. LASG01 is always there. I had to respond and give exact details. I also said the governor was not even in the state at that moment. It was in Abuja. So I responded in a way because I was used to the space and the way they share fake news. And I also didn't want my response to be a blank response. I said, no, this is not the governor. No. I gave each detail. And the moment I gave the details, people started responding to the video and say, it's true. I saw governor somewhere yesterday. He was driving this car. I saw someone, and because we are used to them, so it's already part of the plan.
That's interesting. I mean, Lagos House, we have over how many? Over 10, 20 million different mindsets, expectations, especially from the government. Everybody wants to look about infrastructure, we're talking about security, and so on and so forth. What kind of infrastructure or apparatus have you put in place since you think this? Because it's not be easy talking different kinds of things every day on social media, digital storytelling, content, videos. How are you able to manage this process? Do you have a team or something, or are you working with an agency?
For me personally, I've always done, maybe because I'm close to the ruling party, I'm a member of APC, and I've always done this advocacy unpaid for the government for a long time. So it made me understand the system very well. And now that I'm in government, yes, there's still going to be a team, but the first thing I'm doing is that all our agencies that have digital platforms, we are waking everybody up. Last Mile has been very good. RRS has been superb. Lagos Ferry Services, they are awake. LASEPA, that's Environmental Protection Agency, they still locked up some mosque and church recently for noise making. So what I do now is, before I put all the pressure on my head, I wake up everybody. Like, I don't need to be the one to respond on your behalf. If there are issues coming to your ministry or your agency, respond to the people. I can support.
Interesting.
But I don't want to be the one doing everything, because at the end of the day, it will tell on me.
That's cool. Thanks. Okay. This is for you. And please share with us, how have you leveraged digital storytelling to push and deepen the narrative for, what are your best case studies of brands, if possible, that we can follow, and in the technology space that could probably have done the same thing?
Okay, so I will answer the question a little bit different and not talk about my brand, but talk about a client that we've worked with.
Okay.
So the client is called Food Pro, and they are an indigenous cashew processing and retail business. They are located in Ilorin, but they retail across Nigeria. And we started working with them about 3 years ago, and the brand was kind of like all over the place. And we've been able to successfully rebrand them. And I think that that's really at the core of your storytelling. It's really to understand what is your brand identity. And your brand identity is not your logo, right? It goes much deeper than that. It's what are your values? What are the brand colors? What do those brand colors even communicate? It's, what is your actual messaging, right? So you need to establish messaging pillars for your brand, and then start creating content that is focused on those messaging pillars, right? And you also then need to figure out, okay, so for example, one of their messaging pillars is that they empower women, because they have over 400 women that work in their factory, right? So in a rural community in Ilorin, they have this factory, and there are 400 women that are employed there, right? So that is massive, empowerment of the community, right? Because we all know that 90% of income that women receive stays in the home, right? Versus 40% of income that men receive that stays in the home. And, these are ways of actually then looking at the brand. Like, okay, so this brand is focused on women empowerment. It's focused on celebrating successful women, right? So how do we incorporate that into campaigns that we run? How do we incorporate that into all the different activities that they also take part in, right? So they've done, activities and events that are around women, right? And they've supported other causes that focus on women, right? So they supported WIMBIZ, for example. Last year, this year actually, in March for International Women's Day, we ran a campaign that was called My Shiro, and it was basically about nominating a hero in your life that is a woman, right? So My Shiro. And Food Pro themselves celebrated different Shiros that are amazing Nigerian women that are doing extraordinary things. Like there's a hunter in the northern part of Nigeria that basically goes into the areas that Boko Haram occupies, and she frees girls by herself with her gun, and yeah, that's who she is, right? So she's like a hunter / soldier. Okay. So it's like a really amazing story of a really amazing woman, right? This has nothing to do with cashews. It has nothing to do with, the brand, but it is exactly what the brand stands for, right? Empowering women to find their, best potential. And you can then start telling stories around that. In the end, they picked a Shiro, which is a traffic warden that is on the junction, the St. Agnes junction on Herbert Macaulay, right? And I mean, the engagement that they got for that is because everybody knows this lady. And the lady is just amazing, so they basically went there, took pictures of the lady, got the lady to interview, tell her own story. And again, this has nothing to do with selling cashews. No. But it makes the brand more likable, right? So you can tell stories that are not your own stories. And by doing that, you actually create, more likability, more brand equity, and more trust in the brand as well, And I think that that's really important. So it's really to figure out like how do you build that emotional connection with your audience, right? One of the other things that we did for them, we created a brand story for them. So on the back of their packaging, there's a story about how the CEO was walking through the factory and the lady came up to him to pray for him. And she said that I pray that this factory will always stay open so that we will always have jobs. And then the story ends and says, with every pack of cashews that you buy, you make sure that Lola and 400 other women in Ilorin stay in their jobs, right? That is a powerful message because you're not buying the cashews, you're buying that. There are 10 other brands on the shelf, but you're buying into that story. You want to be part of that story, right? So I think for us, it's really, when we work with brands, we look at, okay, what are the things that you're already doing, right? And how do we position those things in a way that it connects? And how do we build emotional connections with the audience? And the amount of people who have taken pictures of that brand story and who have, said, oh my God, I'm only going to buy this brand because of this, and who generate tons and tons of user-generated content just shows us that, investing in proper narratives, in proper messaging, and then basically building your content around that, right? And really focusing first on how do you really solidify your brand identity before you even start telling any stories or before you put content out there. So when we work with brands, we basically, first of all, understand the brand. And a lot of, brands, they, might not have looked at those things at all, right? Because they are there to sell a product or a service.
Yes.
So they focus on that. But then we basically engage with them and say, okay, well, so what do you stand for? What are your values? What are the things that you want to do? If you had a CSR initiative, what would it be, right? And then based on that, we then build their brand identity, right? And I think when you take it from that angle, you start getting much deeper stories that you can tell, right? And when you start engaging with the people who work in those companies as well, you then bring out the real stories of the brand, right? Because there's always that real authentic story. Because this story that is on the back of the packaging is a real story.
It is.
It wasn't made up, right? So initially we had thought about, okay, we can talk about the origin of the cashew nut, and like there's some Yoruba tales as well about what the cashew signifies. So we're thinking around that,
Okay, let me ask you. If you wanted to help some of the businesses, the SMEs, and especially those in technical spaces who are either working for brands on their platforms and they want to create stories, is there a process, a methodology, or framework you use that can inspire how you craft these stories on social media? Or you take them each one on its own individual merits and cases?
Yeah, so I think there's no copy and paste, right? Every brand is unique, every brand is different. And I think the main thing is, who is your target audience, right? Who are you trying to talk to? If you're trying to talk to somebody who is 65, he will react to a very different story than somebody who is 18, right? So I think you need to understand, like, who is that demographic that you're talking to? Are you talking to just the local audience? Are you talking to a Pan-African audience? Are you talking to a global audience, right? All of those things make a very big difference. So this brand, for example, they are focused on the global market. So the story is written with a global focus, right? And we all know that these kind of stories, when it comes to fair trade and things like that, people abroad buy into that even more than we do here, right? So I think you just need to really understand your brand, your target demographic, who you're trying to engage with, and then basically build your brand identity first before you start telling stories. I think too many people just start, scripting something, and then it just becomes this thing that in the end you can't marry the two, right? And I think, one of the things that, he said is that you need to really, like whatever you say, you have to actually do it, right? Because that's the only way to build trust. And when you're telling stories, you're telling them to connect emotionally. You're telling them for people to start loving your brand, right?
That's a very,
and become, brand ambassadors.
I want the audience to also be taking, lessons and key ways, which is what I'm breaking. So I want to take on one of your points. What I'm getting from you is, besides the story you tell, especially if you're talking from the context of a brand, it means that brand must stand for something in itself. How can you tell a story when I don't know who you are and what you stand for? Is that what you correctly say? Yeah. So that means there must be some sum of work that have been done on the brand itself.
Of course.
We talked about identity a separate number of times.
Yeah. So and I think like storytelling goes beyond just, you know, writing. It's the pictures that you use, right? All of that creates and evokes emotion. It's the videos that you create. It's any type of content that you put out there, right? So you can't have, you know, amazing looking content, right? That's really, really great. And then there's an interview with the founder and the guy is just like raz and not well put together. And you're like, how does this go together, right?
Okay.
So you need to look at the brand like in a completely holistic manner, right? And look at what are the offline components as well that go into a brand. We've seen brands that have amazing online presences and then you walk into the store and you're just like, what is this? Like you invested in the wrong thing.
Association, yes.
Right? Because you can't relate, right? It's like day and night. I've walked in here, your sales girl is sleeping on the table. She's, you know, like she doesn't even know anything about the products. Online, I can find more information on your products than I can get, you know, in the store. So I think it's really about, you know, like understanding your product, understanding what it is that you're doing, and then figuring out how do you want to convey that message and how do you make sure that there's an omni-channel experience that is, you know, seamless and cohesive, you know, so that when I speak to him, I have the same experience as going on his website. I have the same experience as going to his social media. I have the same experience like talking to an intern that is in his company, right?
Okay. Okay, thanks. Odo, please help us with the next one. They said digital is the future. Is a common denominator or cliche that we often use, especially in this environment. Digital is the future. What does that mean? Does it have context? Does it mean anything for you?
So a lot has changed, I'd say, in the past 10 years. Today, we have things like an Uber or a Taxify or Bolt, rather. You have things like PiggyVest. I would say a lot has changed. Like, people want things done quick, right? Social media has evolved. Like, I've been looking at the trends on Twitter, for instance. The average for a viral post, it will probably get about 1,000 retweets now. It wasn't the same thing last year, right? What that means is a lot more people are coming onto these platforms. A lot of people are turning to these platforms for information, for different things, and it continues to grow. By next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, the average viral post will probably have 100,000 retweets. How are you positioning yourself for that time? How do you ensure that, you know, your business is relevant at that point?
But is digital as huge as it seems? I mean, there's a perception that penetration doesn't still cover a lot of suburban rural areas. Or do you think it's because of the growth of smartphones? Why do we believe digital in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja means digital inclusion for all Nigerians?
So, again, Nigeria is a relatively poor country, but there are a lot of people who are doing a lot to ensure our penetration continues to increase. I want to give props to companies like Techno, you know, Infinix. What they're doing is really, really very, very impactful, creating, you know, smartphones that are cheap for people. Even the telcos, you know, bringing down the cost of data. All these things tie into how fast our penetration is, you know, increasing or how slow it is. So I'd say there's a lot going on, right? A lot of companies are building for scale. A lot of people are doing things to ensure that more people have access, right? But then there's so much more that can be done. I feel like we're just scratching the surface when it comes to digital anything.
Yvonne, do you think technology as a tool can effectively address the country's numerous public health challenges that has contributed to persistent and high level of poverty and weakness of the citizenry? And if so, how?
Yeah, it's very, very possible. So a lot has been said about disruptions that have happened in several industries with the use of digital technology. So, you know, the rate at which people can access healthcare, you know, is different from the way it used to be years back. So organizations also need to ensure that they position themselves to ensure that they are digitally aware And also data is going to be a differentiating factor between organizations. So organizations that embrace data analytics to be able to know what kind of platforms are people encroaching on to be able to sell their market. Organizations that embrace data will always have a cutting edge above other organizations. Data analytics talks about looking about the spread of customers across various platforms. What are customers' preferences when it comes to healthcare? And then what are the mediums by which organizations can pitch their products and make it affordable for the teaming customer base? I was trying to just not let the cat out of the bag, but you mentioned it. We are quite doing a number of things when it comes to ensuring that the average Nigerian has access to affordable health care. Quite a number of us maybe work for organizations that are able to buy premiums. We can access health care based on the fact that we work with a corporate organization. But, you look at, the poor Nigerian who can't afford to pay the premium. So we are ensuring that the healthcare plans that we are pitching are quite affordable, and nobody knows when you're going to fall sick. So, and when you fall sick, or for instance, or you have a need for healthcare, you might not have money in your pocket. So that's why healthcare is there to ensure that people have access to healthcare at the time.
Yeah, but the thing now is about information. How does the average consumer, average Nigerian, Okiti, Benin, local interlands, I'm not talking all of the cosmopolitans, have access to that kind of information? Are there platforms, products, or places you could check real time to check maybe for diagnosis, or maybe to check the kind of healthcare plans you have without necessarily have to book myself?
Okay, so most of our service offerings are available on our social media platform, like I mentioned, on our website, so people are able to buy health plans. And in Nigeria today, we are the first healthcare insurance company that's able to sell their products on the website. So irrespective of what region or what area you are able to ensure that you have access to make purchase of these premiums. And also beyond making our products available on our social media platform, we are also ensuring that we engage ourselves in internal campaigns. So for instance, we are currently running My City, My Football in Lagos, which is about taking sports to communities. So you invite us to your community that you want us to come around, and then we come around, we organize a football event, we carry out free healthcare checks, and we offer healthcare tips. These are ways where we're trying to ensure that healthcare is getting to people and places beyond the common space.
Okay, thanks. Dr. Jibril, the next question, please. So there's a tsunami of content today. I mean, the last panel, we talked a lot about content, different multimedia content. Some connecting, others don't, and people are confused as to why some do, and is it the kind of story I'm telling, or sometimes some things don't have meaning. For you, what's your point of view on how to create very engaging, convenient, or what you call it, snackable content, especially when it has to refer to public affairs and government? Because there's always a perception where you guys are coming from, you're telling us what you think we want to hear, but not necessarily what you're doing. Is there something you're doing or you think we share in terms of how you create those kind of content that I will want to consume?
Okay. For someone like me, when I got the appointment, I talked to my superiors and I told them I want to relate with people as simple as possible. I'm not someone that believes in so much grammar and English and all that. But what I want to put out, I want people to be able to relate with it. I also want people to know that I'm also part of the society. I'm not an activist, but I'm a part of the society. And there was a question someone asked me. I said, you this SSSF, where do you pass to go to work? And I'm like, I use a plane. Sarcastic. You don't ask me that because obviously I drive on the same road. I have my roots, and I just want to relate as cool as possible. And the way I put content out, I put it out like I'm in the picture. When you are talking about, like the government yesterday closed down Oyingbo Market because of they don't patronize PSPs. Their environment is very dirty. and in governments in line of the capacity they have constitutionally, they shut down the markets. I was there this morning and also listened to some of the market people. I listened to our own guys, the Loma guys, listened to everybody. And if I'm going to put out any story now, later in the day, I will say I was there.
Yes.
People said this, but this is what the government wants to do. The government does not want people selling on the road. It is dangerous and it is not right. The government does not want this. The government does not want that. Also, the marketers want to do this, want to do that. So I'm more of trying to balance it in the middle. I will tell you what the government will do, and I'll tell you why it is important that the government has to do it.
The key thing there now, when we're talking digital, it also means it's not just about broadcasting. It's a two-way street. You're sharing. How can I give you feedback? Real time, if possible. And I see that you actually take that feedback. For example, look at the kind of traffic on these days on the roads. Sometimes you just get out of your office and you enter that traffic. What ways could we share real-time feedback besides private platforms that have done things on Twitter and co, like the traffic things? But coming from the government, we're talking about smart city integration, where if everyone has a smartphone, is there something where I can share with you? I can see that you've imputed that feedback, and you can also, so it's a two-way street. That means you're always taking me along. Are there things you're designing in that regard, or things you think you can share with us?
For a start, what we are doing is we'll relate with all the channels we have at the moment. If there's any issue, if you have people on Twitter, they can testify to that. I try as much as possible to respond to a lot of requests, a lot. I can tell you, I got this appointment a month ago. I've responded. If people have been asking me, how are you coping? I'm like, no problem. We'll handle it. I receive requests on roads, traffic, emergency situations, and all that. And as much as possible, I've been able to get a very high number of feedback. And in fact, when the Lagos Public Works Corporation, the guys that fix the roads, when they get to some streets that maybe someone has sent to me several times, and they get to the street, I get feedback like, Jag has done it, these people are here, And for me, I don't capitalize on the response. I'm happy that at least I've done my bit. Okay. Even the routes I pass, work just started there a week ago. You understand? And the assumption is that maybe because I'm in, I will have told them to fix my own route. You understand? My own route was just fixed last week. And what I do is any form of information, as I said before, all the agencies, all their platforms online, we've woken everybody up.
Sorry, let me just hold you up. Please, if you can listen to me at the back. We're having a lot of traffic noise coming from there. Can we please put it down a little bit? At the back, please. Yes. Thank you very much. Sorry. Let's go ahead.
As I was saying, we've woken up a lot of our pages, online pages for different agencies, different ministries, and as much as possible, I get them, even when they don't respond, I get them to respond on issues. There was a viral thread about a lady that her son died or something, and the doctors misbehaved to her and caused a delay, which eventually led to the death of the child. I think it happened around April. So I woke up, I think around 8 o'clock. I saw the thread and it was moving, and people were tagging me in it because they know, at least they know I'll respond. So they were tagging me in it, and immediately I called the Commissioner of Health and I said, I'm going to send you something on WhatsApp. This is what is going on. I sent the thread. Immediately he told me, he's going to respond. I said, okay, before you respond, I will respond first, at least so that people will know that I've seen it and a move is going to be made. I responded. An hour later, the commissioner responded personally. The Ministry of Health responded again. And immediately that day, a committee was set up to look into the issue. So that's our own strength. We go and get people to work. So I don't have to be the one responding all the time. The governor does not have to be the one responding all the time. Your agency should be able to respond if there's a question that comes directly to you. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, a nice one for that. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you very much. We'll go back to you, Kemley. So what does the future hold for technology and the ICT in Nigeria today? Are there any other opportunities for new entrants in the space? a lot of people are feeling it's a little bit saturated. Are there things Are there things you think we can do that's a little bit different? What do you think?
I think there's no bigger playing field than the technology playing field, to be honest. Anyone who thinks it's saturated maybe just doesn't know the industry very well, right?
Okay.
We're at our infancy. That's the
Wow.
truth of it, right?
That's great.
So, I mean, the technology industry has been around for 40 years in Nigeria, and you know, I'm privileged to actually know various generations of people who have built this industry, because my dad is in technology as well. So, you know, I know those guys that actually built the entire industry, that created policies for this industry, right? I think the opportunities are really vast, especially because technology is being infused into every other sector, right? So you don't need to be in tech in order to be in tech. You can work in agriculture but run a tech company that is
Yes.
focused on agriculture, right? And I think that, you know, when we talk about digital, you know, we need to start using the term digital technologies, right? Because I think we are moving away from information technology and we're moving towards digital technology. And there is a very big difference in that, right? In terms of the amounts of data that we have, in terms of insight-driven decision-making, right? So, you know, as he was talking, one of the questions that I had is, what do you do with all this information that people bring to you, right? Is there an algorithm that actually kind of filters it and then escalates it to the different ministries in order to actually create action, right? So that we're not reactive anymore. So that there's actually proactivity in the approach, right? And that is how you build a real smart city. If we said every person in Lagos can report anything using their phone, right? So if there's a pothole on my way to work, I can take a picture, send a location stamp, right? And you aggregate all that information, right? And then you would be able to actually build solutions much faster. So I think that the opportunities really lie in people who are thinking about solutions that solve our problems, right? And I also think that we need to make sure that we actually invest in proper skills, because we do not have enough skills to actually service the technology market as it is, right? So there's still a lot of people who are relying on foreign developers simply because we do not have a pool of local developers to really pick from, right? So I think that there has to be a massive investment into skills, right? This investment can be actual, you know, investment from companies, it can be investment from government, right? But I think that the people who really need to think about this investment are individuals. Invest in yourself, right? Because if you are not equipped with the right digital skills, you become completely irrelevant in probably the next 5 years, right? Because I think that the fourth industrial revolution is already ongoing, and there's a big digital transformation that has to happen in order for us to really position ourselves on the global map, right? And if we don't really look at how do we as a country and as a nation create a digital strategy that actually drives everything. And the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy is actually going to launch the Digital Economy Plan next week, right? And I'm really curious to actually see what is in that plan, because I think that that plan will really help drive digital development across, you know, all of the different sectors. And I think that that's where really we will see massive opportunities. So my advice to anyone who is young, to anyone who wants to play a part in the future, go and learn like your life depends on it, right? And then figure out, how do you solve problems, right? And how do you solve the problems that are around you that affect you? Because if you build a solution where people can, you know, location tag, you know, potholes and different things, and you take it to him, he will probably go to the governor and say, look, this kid built this. We can take this and we can make this big, and this can be a game changer for Lagos State, right?
Thanks.
I'm going to be his press person.
Okay.
So I think it's really about taking initiative, you know, as young people, and really getting engaged in we have so many problems. I mean, there's no place with more problems. Well, probably a few, but, you know, those problems are opportunities. But your skill level, your critical thinking skills, your collaboration skills, your, you know, skills of being able to interact with people are going to be drivers of how well we are able to solve our own problems, right? And I think that we've seen extremely innovative solutions that have been able to open up markets, like, you know, the partnership between Avon and PiggyVest, right? Yes. That is opening a massive market. And, you know, I mean, I know what microinsurance looks like, and I know what the potential of microinsurance is, and I know that the licenses that they're currently giving out for that, right? So I know what's going to happen in that sector alone. So if you just decided to go into InsurTech, there are going to be so many jobs that are going to be created. But do we have people who are actually equipped with the right skills to do those jobs? And that is my biggest question, right? So I don't think that there is anything like saturation. I think we're going to have an explosion, but we're not going to be ready for that explosion. We're not going to have the capacity and manpower to actually hone that explosion and manage it properly.
Well, very well said. Please, a round of applause for her. That's great. Thank you, thank you. In addition to what you said, I agree. I think one of the best things for innovation is when you're able to create a solution that actually solves real problems, practical problems that are faced around you. If you look at the kind of things that are happening, using Lagos as a cosmopolitan city, for example, I said there's so many things happening around us, but in those problems, therein lies the solution and innovation. We have infrastructural problems, buildings falling down here and there. Why? Are we not doing engineering anymore? People doing what you call architectural designs, people just building blocks of cement. What's happening? Who is looking into things like that? We have issues of congestion on the roads. And brands like Uber and some of our indigenous brands are now helping us out with seaway transportation. But aside that, you have an average of an individual having 1.5 access to 1.5 cars. It means either he's in a bus, an Okada, or in a private vehicle. So at any one time, one individual has access to 3 forms of consumption on the same roads that are not, you know, as developed as a continual basis. You have issues of security. All these are actually avenues for someone to bring ideas for innovation. So, and tech is helping us do that a lot. So that's why that's a very, very good. And we're running up now, so we're going to do the last turns of chats with them. So I'm going to ask each of you, you know, specific to your industries, kicking off with you, for fintech, looking at the successes of PiggyVest, what should we be expecting, one, from your brand in the next few months? Innovation is not away now, so I won't say 2, 3, 4 years. The next few months, 2020, what are your plans for 2020? And what should guys who are entering that fintech expect? And what should we be looking at in terms of how to build and develop ourselves? Thanks.
Okay. So I think I want to speak to what she said.
Yes.
I think we also have, fundamentally, we have an education problem, right? I feel like we lost it when it comes to education a long time ago. And I don't think we're doing enough, even as government or as individuals, to try to close that gap, right? There's a lot we can achieve if our people are educated. As little as insurance, if people understand what insurance is, that sector will be doing way better than it's doing currently. But the reason why people would, you know, rather say, you know, I cover my life with the blood of Jesus than pay health insurance is because they just don't understand, and it's not their fault, right? So I feel like we need to go back to the basics. There needs to be a state of emergency kind of thing on education to start with. Now, to our plans for 2020, today we're like at over 500,000 users, with about 40%, 50% of them active month on month. We're looking at a lot more collaboration, right? We know we have different customer segments. You know, there are young people, there are students, there are older people, and these people have different needs, right? Which banks are not solving today. They want to do certain things, and they want you to help them through that journey. Financial advisory, a lot of things that they want to do. So we're by next year, we're going to be working a lot more with a lot of people to actually build things for PiggyVest, right? For PiggyVest users. So there's going to be a lot of collaboration. Avon Flex was just a test, right? We did that and it worked perfectly. So recently we just did like a full-on upgrade to the apps and everything, and we're looking at enabling more people to have access to the platform. So today, in the past, you could only use PiggyVest if you had a debit card. Today you don't need to have a debit card to use PiggyVest. You can do a bank transfer because we had a partnership with a payment processor and Providus Bank, right? So we're basically giving everyone access and trying to help them in how they manage their finances. The goal for everyone is financial freedom, and the truth is, people don't buy what you do; they buy why you do it. So if we're able to sell, why you should save, why you should invest, make it clear to you, help you understand, the nitty-gritties of these things, then I think it'll be easy. But again, like I said, collaboration going forward.
Thank you. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you very much. What should we expect in 2020 from Future Software? And especially in your sector, how do you see it evolving? What are the learnings for us here today?
So I think in terms of how is the sector evolving, I think that we're going to see a lot more new companies popping up. We are going to see companies die, right?
That's the reality, yeah, it's true.
That's just the reality of it, right? So, I mean, if you look at the statistics, right, 8 out of 10 startups don't make it. It's just the reality of it. And I think that, but sometimes there is a startup that just opens the valve, and then that one is never meant to survive. It's the people who come afterwards, right, that then, become the real big players in that space. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that, right? I also think that in terms of commerce, there's going to be a very big unleashing of social commerce. And I think that e-commerce is slowly going to start declining, right? And I know that sounds a bit crazy because we're still trying to grow e-commerce, right? But I think that brands, especially smaller brands, should really look at how do you integrate social commerce into your platforms, right? Okay. Because e-commerce is not something that you want to heavily invest in the next 2 to 3 years, right? I also think that we're going to see an increase in video, right? There are statistics that say by 2021, 80% of all internet traffic is going to be video, right? So I think that for brands, one of the things that's important is to actually, how do you invest in video? And what we're seeing is that there are a lot of brands who are creating their own little tiny production spaces, right? But that also means that there are actually opportunities for a crowdsourced production space. Imagine you had a place as a brand that you could go to where you have the best cameras, you have the best production people, the best editors, but you're not having to pay an arm and a leg, right? Yes. Because they're working on 20 other projects, right? So imagine creating that kind of environment where brands can just go and say, I need this kind of content, and there's somebody who can tell the story, there's somebody who can, actually produce it, there's somebody who can then say, this is how we're going to market it, this is your campaign, this is this, right? So I think that there are a lot of opportunities around content production as a whole, but a lot focused on video. Okay. I also think that we're going to see a lot more automation in the sector. I think that brands that don't automate, especially when it comes to their marketing channels and their sales processes, are going to have run into a lot of trouble, right? Because you cannot get enough people to kind of help with the requests that you're getting from your customers if you're really focused on scaling, right? Because that means that you're now almost forced to grow an endless channel of customer care representatives, right, to answer these questions and to help you with that, as opposed to automating and integrating chatbots and other type of channels and solutions. So I think that's really, for me, the key areas where we're going to see a lot of change in
Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for thank you. You have one. Okay. So what do we expect, Doctor? Future of communications, connections, collaborations, especially in your space. And you have a very unique title role, especially we're talking with Lagos State government. What do we expect in terms of communication 2020?
Okay, a few weeks ago, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu signed, he laid down the budget at the House of Assembly, and I'm using this medium to let Lagosians know that by 2020, it will be an avalanche of work, because once the budget has been signed finally, there are a lot of projects, Agege Pen Cinema, Agri-Kishawa Road, and so many other major points that have received so much backlash from. Everything is contained in the budget. And you know how the government system works. You don't pull out money from anywhere, you follow the budget. And Oga has presented the budget at the House. Once everything has finally been signed into law, then by 2020, even me, I'll be tired of content because the Ministry of Works will be sending me content.
But you have to work with partners. Don't you work with partners?
Yeah, I understand. That for now, what we are doing is just to quickly do the stuff that people are very much passionate about. But by next year, the government is going to be building, rehabilitating 300 schools. Wow. We are going to be working on all major roads, working on different things, and that time we can now start working on collaboration.
That's very good, very good.
We can now start working on collaboration with different media organizations and all that. Okay. And also,
there's something happening there. What's good? Please, don't worry. We have time for Q&A very soon. Let's just finish him. Thank you very much.
Hold on. The question was about what you'll be doing in 2020. And if we are telling you what we are doing in 2020 and you are saying it's their work, you understand? It is their work. That's why I'm being asked the question, and that is why I'm responding to it. It is government's work,
yes,
but we are telling you the updates of what's going to happen in 2020.
That's fine. Yeah.
And we can now start talking about collaborations, maybe with extra media organizations, so that people can actually put it into their faces that we are working and this is what is going on. You understand?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, a round of applause for him. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for healthcare insurance, yes, we are looking at more collaborations, like everyone has rightly said.
Okay.
We are looking at collaboration with fintechs to ensure that we have more healthcare inclusion. So we're beginning to think about how to take healthcare insurance to rural areas where people don't have access to the internet like we all do in the Lagos and the high-broad cities. We also ensure that we have automation, embrace automation. So internally, our processes, we ensure that we have automated ways of carrying out our daily activities.
Okay.
So employees begin to feel, become passionate about what they do, and then we get desired results on a daily basis. And then we also embrace data and analytics. So in the products and the content we are pushing out on a daily basis, we ensure that we are not just making decisions based on the facts. We are making decisions based on the fact that that is what customers are looking out for, and then we push out products that would actually impact customers.
Thank you. So you're employing AI integration, analytics,
definitely,
using that information to employ real time and forward and back in this.
Definitely.
Just one more. There's a huge industry now, health and wellness, especially in the manifestation in terms of everyone trying to look and feel good. Do you see it as something that is just going to trend for a while, or do you see it fluxing? Why do you see that whole health and wellness trend? When we're talking about an implication, I say the industry. Everyone wants to look and feel good. So we're talking about everyone wants to eat certain kind of salads. People that have now done side business on those things. People delivering food to your offices. The rise of gyms, six-pack figures. And I'm talking like, where do you play in that role? How do you see that manifesting in 2020?
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, pushing content that talks about how do people live healthier and fuller lives is paramount to our business. So we check our social media pages. We ensure that we give out tips on what people can eat, how can they live a healthier, fuller lives, how can they maintain health habits to ensure that they don't fall sick and they don't have reasons to run doctors care to call family members and all. So we do that on a daily basis, more often than us pushing our product and services to people. We ensure that we do sensitization on health on a daily basis. So we'll be doing more of that, and we'll be collaborating, and we're moving around, carrying out internal campaigns on how to ensure that the average Nigerian has access to quality and an affordable healthcare.
Thank you very much. And with that, we've come to the end of this session. Please, a round of applause for all the panelists. Thank you. The topic again was the impact of digital innovation and storytelling on businesses, and I think we've heard different sides of the story from different experts from healthcare, fintech, public services, health and wellness, and I think we have a lot to chew on. The conversation still goes on social media, so please, when you're taking pictures and doing conversations, please put the hashtag, Lagos Digital Summit 2019, and let's keep on going. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, Paulus.
Thank you very much. A round of applause once again for our moderator and our speakers. I think they did a fantastic job. So we will be presenting to you a little honorarium just to thank you for being here today. And then we'd also have a photo session. Wow. Did you guys enjoy that session? I actually did. I mean, there was something that he said that struck me. He said, people do not buy what you do. They buy why you do it. I mean, there was something I saw recently on Instagram, and it was he's a coach basically, and then he was talking to people. He was in South Africa, so they were South Africans. So he asked a lady who was in the audience that what do you do? She said she's a makeup artist. And then the next thing he said was, okay, so how much do you charge per face? And then the lady says 500 Rand per face. And then he says, oh, so if somebody tells you, oh, sorry, I cannot afford this, I have only 300 Rand and I want to do this makeup, what do you do? The lady says, well, because I know what I'm worth, I tell them that, oh, you can go and look for someone else that will do it at 300 Rand. I know a lot of us, that would have been the solution that we would just do, right? Oh, go and look for someone else. I can't go lesser. And then the coach said something. He said that what you've just done is you just lost a customer. You did not give her reasons to make sure she buys into your service. So if I were you, what I would have done or what I would do is I would strike up a conversation with her. Okay, so where do you want to do your makeup? What events are you planning to go for? Are you planning to go for a wedding? Okay. Do you think you're going to see your ex-boyfriend there? So if you're going for a wedding and you're going to see your ex-boyfriend there, do you think a 300 Rand makeup is enough to show your boyfriend your ex-boyfriend what he's missing? And then, he struck a conversation, and before we knew it, he's basically playing with the lady's head, knowing that, okay, so at the end, the customer is not thinking, oh, I'm paying 500 Rand for makeup. It's more of, I'm paying 500 Rand to pepper. Yeah. Okay, so I'd continue the conversation. So yeah, Demola, and yeah, so while they're doing the photo op, let me continue the gist. And so he said, she's not paying 500 Rand to do a makeup anymore. She's paying 500 Rand to pepper her ex-boyfriend, show him that she has moved on, she's better, she's in a better place, and of course to, make sure she stands out from the crowd. And every girl or every person wants to know that whatever they are doing, they are getting value for their money. So at the end, you do not put a price to what you do. You put value to what you do. And I think today, the speakers have reiterated that point. A round of applause to them once again. So, we're going to go on a little break. So while they're taking their pictures, we're going to go on a little break. And you know that lady that, sang the national anthem like it was a chorus of angels, singing. She's going to come up once again to entertain us and, sing to us. Don't forget, you can go to the back to get your drinks, to get your food, and also check your BP, check your weight if you've been looking for how to do so. While we have this short break for 10 minutes. 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, we need you to be back here because we're going to have the final session. Yeah, so in 10 minutes, we're going to have the final session, which is digital storytelling, experience and effects on business. So the experiences and the effects of digital storytelling in business. And it's going to be moderated by Peace Itimi. Trust me, I have heard her speak, and I can guarantee that she is a package of information. Trust me when I say this. She's absolutely amazing. When she comes up, you just be like, hey, so this is the PCT me. But once she starts talking, my God, it's a tank of wisdom, especially when it comes to digital marketing, because she is a digital marketing strategist. So we're going to have Oluwa Shalom come up once again, to serenade us, to sing to us, and while we relax, we process all that we have heard so far, so that it's not like the information is just jumbling in our heads. So calm down, enjoy yourself, rest into the atmosphere, ease into it, get a drink, get food, talk to the person on your left and on your right, get to know them, network. You never can tell. The person beside you might be your next business partner. It might be the next person you're going to collaborate with. So do not just come and go, come and meet few people and go with like at least 5 contacts. So Oluwa Shalom is coming up right now to sing to us and make our hearts beat. Probably make us fall in love with tech even more, or just
self